Hello everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to 2021, and we're about to get into the I'm Not a GM tournament. I'm your host, Grandmaster Mon Hamilton, and I'm joined by Andrea Botez, my co-host for today. Hi, Andrea.
Hello, guys. How's it going, Amon?
Pretty
Feeling
good,
good?
pretty good. I'm feeling great this morning. I have to admit, I'm starting off 2021 waking up earlier than I ever did in 2020.
Me too, actually. I've been trying to put in some healthier habits. So, yeah, let's make 2021 off to a good start.
Yep. Cheers to that. And this tournament is probably one of the more exciting ones for me. I just love like these entertaining type events that Chess.com puts on. It's the I'm Not a GM tournament. And as I like to describe it, it's people in this tournament are talented enough that it's really, really high level chess that people can follow. But there's also enough blunders that I think it makes it highly entertaining.
Yeah, I think the speed matches are the most fun, and I'm especially excited because my sister will be competing, and we were training together yesterday to beat Greg, but now she's on her own. So, curious to see how she's going to do up against Greg.
Yeah, and you've just highlighted the matchup, and that's exactly right. Today it's going to be international master Greg Shahade facing off against women's FIDE master Alexandra Botez. And you mentioned that she's going to be on her own today. You've done maybe some sister prep the other day, but the interesting thing about this match, people can already guess there is a rating mismatch. Greg is the favorite by rating, and so Alexandra is starting with 15 points handicap. So she starts the match up 15-0, and then the match is basically a race. Can Greg, collect those 15 points and then some over the course of the match, or is Alexandra just going to run away with it? So what do you think of this odds format, which is kind of the first time we've seen this in this tournament and in these match formats?
I think it's going to be very interesting because Alex, especially, that's why she was trying to memorize all his lines because the rating gap was so different. So I'm really curious if this will make it equal odds or not.
Yep. So we'll have to see about that, guys, and we'll be reminding you throughout the event about that handicap. But keep that in mind. Alexander starts with 15 points, and with that, let's jump into the precise format of this match and the entire I'm Not a GM tournament. So as you can see, the main bracket is just single elimination knockout, which you'll be familiar as the style for these Speed Chess Championship type of matches. And speaking of those SCC formats. It's going to have a 5+1 Blitz time control. There's going to be a 3+1 Blitz time control and 1+1 bullet chess. So first of all, Andrea, what do you think of those three formats? Does that make it like a pretty balanced match? Do you think either player will have an advantage in one of these controls?
Yeah, I'm really excited for, the last few bullet matches. I think the Blitz, I don't watch too many speed tournaments, so it's always very interesting because Alex, for example, her big strength is bullet and dirty flagging. I don't know if Greg will be as speedy, but that's my favorite part of speed chess, the very last few quick seconds and minutes.
Yep. And that is probably going to be very important for the match overall. I mean, I think Alexandra would be maybe a lot happier if she could get 75 minutes of bullet chess
Yeah.
instead of the 25 minutes that they've got there. But we'll see how that plays out. But you guys will be very familiar with that format from previous editions. And well, as you can see, the winner of the match advances to the next bracket. And what are these guys competing for? Well, let's talk a quick second about the prizes. These guys are competing for $10,000 in prizes in total. There's the round of 16, there's the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals. And you can see the breakdown there. The winner, the round of 16, $250, and then they advance to the quarterfinals. And the other interesting thing is that the rest of the money is split by win percentage. So all I'm seeing based on this, Andrea, is that your sister, she's already starting out with some money. She's got 15 points on the board.
Yeah, she has some pretty good chances here to win some nice prize money.
So that's not too bad. Everyone is going to have a good time, get a good match, and then obviously, if you progress in this tournament, you collect more and more prizes. So let's take a quick look at the bracket as well. You're probably wondering, this sounds like an exciting matchup to start things off. Greg against Alexandra, but who else do we have in this tournament? And as you can see from the bracket here, have a lot of names that you might recognize from maybe the previous edition of the I'm Not a GM tournament. but there are also some names that I think people will be more familiar, Andrea, from just the streaming world, and
Yeah,
how that's changed them. Any names stand out there to you that you recognize?
of course, almost all of them. I was gonna say we have Erica Rosen. We have even some younger girls getting to streaming like Carissa Yip, Alessia, who's been streaming for a long time. Obviously, Levy. Lots of big streamers here that I'm very excited to see.
Yeah,
And of
and
course, we can't forget Danny Wrench.
I was gonna say, he's easily forgettable, but he is in the tournament, and he's facing off against Lawrence Trent, as you can see over there. So I know there's a lot of Levy fans in the chat, as I can see. So he's gonna have a matchup against James Canty as well. There's, as you mentioned, a lot of other streamers. So I think it's just gonna be a nice mix of players that were in the last edition of the tournament, plus a lot of new streamers that a lot of people are fans of. So this
Yeah.
should be a lot of fun.
Do you think the streamers will have a higher percentage of wins, mainly because they're more used to speed chess and bullet?
Well, as a streamer myself, Andrea, I'd like to think that that's the case. We
Yeah.
streamers, we got to stick together. So
We
here's
need
to
some advantage at least.
here's to hoping that we can just say that us streamers, we have an advantage somewhere, and speed chess has to be it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm definitely secretly rooting for some streamers to do well, but as everyone can see there from the bracket, a lot of your favorites are going to be in this event. It's a pretty long event, many matches, so there'll be lots of time to cheer for your favorites.
Yeah, anything can happen. We have like 3 hours of speed chess, so lots of games today.
Yep. And the game should be starting in a couple of minutes. Andrea, we can see the players are on cam. What do you make of let's call it the first impression? We got Alexandra and Greg. Who sort of wins the outfit battle so far?
I have to say, every time I did one match actually where me and Greg were a team against Alex, and he always pulls out these hats. I'm a big fan of the hats, so I say he's the winner just for his nice hat game.
And are you saying that while watching your sister do some curls there?
Yeah,
Because I mean, Alexandra's really trying to win over the hearts of the
she
crowd right now.
she came into my room asking for the dumbbell, and I didn't really understand how it would come into use into the speed match. But preparing, like they say, healthy body, healthy mind. So very
Uh-huh.
important. Don't you do this before every chess match?
Well, I was gonna say the fact that your sister came in early in the morning and said, "Can I grab the dumbbell for my speed chess match?" and you didn't find that weird. I think that just goes to show how normal things are, in the Botez household there.
Yes, of course.
But I agree. I like the hat from Greg. Although all I see on the scoreboard right now is the guy's down 15 points. He seems like pretty confident for a guy who's getting crushed in this match so far.
Yeah, I'm curious what I'm gonna when we interview him. I'm very curious what he thinks about this because originally this was a last minute, well, not very last minute change, but I thought Alex could maybe even take him on without the point odds. So who said maybe she doesn't need it?
Ooh, or maybe that's just the natural born hustler in her. She knew she could take Greg, and she
She
pretended that she
hustled her
needed
way.
exactly, she needed some 15
Okay,
points. So we'll see if
that's
that's the
not
case.
bad.
Not bad at all. But yeah, it is a points odds match. We're starting with 15 points for Alexandra, and then the rest of the match just proceeds and scores normally. See, the chat is already on that 15 points. So we'll see. I think that it is going to make things more exciting. At the end of the day, Greg is the stronger player. But
Yeah,
as you mentioned, Alexandra, very, very tricky and very used to streaming and playing online. So hopefully that pays off here.
yeah. I tease a bit. I mean, Greg is. Do you know his rating? Alex was telling me he's around 2,700, which would be a huge rating gap. So in the end, I do think it's pretty fair. But of course, I'm gonna cheer on Alex a little
Yep. No, this is a completely unbiased commentary booth.
bit.
Absolutely. There's
Yep.
nothing to see here. Greg
Yeah.
definitely has a very high rating on Chess.com, and he was in the previous edition of the I Am Not a GM tournament, and I think he made it to probably, I think it was at least the semifinals. So he's definitely one of the favorites to do well here.
Yes.
But looks like he's having a good time. He's got the hat on, and he seems to be in good spirits.
Yeah, Greg is always very positive. When I played with him as my teammate, it was so much fun. He's very positive, keeps his head up the entire match, even when we're losing a few games. And with that attitude, we managed to pull a win. So I think it was all because of Greg.
Yep. Yep. And how's the chat feeling about our competitors here? Do they agree with you that Greg won the outfit battle? Maybe there's more Alexandra fans in chat. I'm not sure, but we have to judge this fairly. Who's going to win the match, but also
Ooh,
who's
I
winning the match
see.
right now?
Yeah, I see we have a poll going on, and most of the chat thinks 15 points might be too much of a handicap, but I don't know. Greg is pretty strong. They might be underestimating him.
Yep. Well, the one thing about people have to remember about the 5 minute portion, Andrea, is that it actually goes really slowly, right? Like a 5 minute game with 1 second increment. Don't forget, guys, it can actually go like 15 minutes for one game. So that portion can really take a long time. I think that Greg is comfortable with this handicap because he's hoping to make it up in bullet. So if he's wrong about that, then he could be totally wrong for the match.
Yeah, not even bullet. One thing we were discussing yesterday when Alex and I were training with Hammer was like even when we would get in better positions straight from the opening, with Greg's experience in the longer time control, he could probably easily outplay in the end game. So I think even in the longer time control, he's even more favored.
Yep, and I've just been told kind of a funny bit of information that it was actually suggested that the let's say the handicap instead of 15, it was actually supposed to be 12 points. And then Greg was
Oh,
like, 12 points? You gotta be kidding me. And he said, make it 15. So that's a little bit of
okay.
confidence from Greg
There you
Shahade
go,
there.
chat. Yeah, everyone's saying that it's too much of a handicap. No, Greg is feeling confident about this.
Yeah, he wanted this. He wanted the
I like the
he wanted the extra.
confidence.
Yep, that's good. And I think that yeah, that's a big alpha move there by Greg.
Yeah, we'll see if he'll regret it. Maybe those 3 points will be decisive. Who knows?
And I'm just following the players here because you know what, Andrea, the games have just got
All
underway.
right. I'm so excited for these games because we studied these lines and Greg has some like favorite sidelines that are very weird. I'm curious if he's going to play into them, but we'll
Now
see. So,
let's I mean I heard something over the last couple sentences. You mentioned someone by the name of Hammer. That's a
yes.
pretty serious bit of preparation that Alexandra must have been doing for this match.
Oh, yeah. If she doesn't remember her lines, Hammer will be very disappointed. He was
If
very, it took because this was some preparation he had from a few years ago. Oh, and Greg, okay, so far, Greg has been playing exactly into the line that Hammer prepared. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, so you know what, guys? This is going to be one of our segments during the commentary. We're going to go to Andrea for the Botez opening phase analysis, as she's going to let us know whether or not Alexandra should have any clue what's going on here. And you're saying so far this is actually
Well,
something that she's maybe prepared?
well, okay. Knight b6 was it's a stray from the book. So now no more Hammer lines, just left Alex, but Alex should already have the advantage.
And this e5 move right away from Alexandra, I'll just describe it as, well, it may be a very good move, but I'll just say it's very committal. It gains a lot of space, it pushes black's pieces back, but at the same time, one of the things you always have to be careful of is white's king is in the middle and hasn't castled yet, is at least a few moves away. Greg, with the black pieces, has already castled. So anytime you start advancing, you worry about maybe getting too overextended in the opening. So that's the only risk here for Alexandra, and she's already taken on
Ooh.
d6.
Yeah,
Which
I
way is
was
Greg going to take
thinking if
that?
I guess she couldn't. I guess she could have defended it actually. Hmm.
Like knight f3 instead of
Yeah,
taking?
yeah. I was considering knight f3, but
Now, knight on h3. Now, it's not always a bad move, but when you see a move like that, you know that the person who's playing with the white piece is doing it intentionally because knight f3 was available, but she said, no, I want the knight on h3. She's clearly remembering something, maybe that Hammer said one time in one call. He's like, hey, Alexander, put the knight on h3. It's good here. What do you think
Well,
of that move?
so one idea was that she didn't push h3, which was a main idea in this position, so that she could use that square for her knight. But that doesn't mean that it was correct in this position. I'm not sure. I was thinking
Mhm.
maybe she's eyeing the f2 square so she doesn't have holes around her king. But do you think knight h3 was stronger than knight f3?
I have to say with the open E file, I'm inclined to say no. And I was just highlighting this on the board that the C pawn was actually hanging there because of the pin. And what Alexandra was probably counting on was that after bishop takes G7, if the king took back, she actually has this great queen D4 move hitting the knight and the
Oh
king.
no.
But I think after now, oh my goodness, after Queen D4, we've seen the first Botez gambit. What a way to start off,
Amber
Andrea.
would not be proud, Alex. Amber would not be proud of this game. I don't know what's. I think she played way too quickly. Like, she played all these moves so fast, and obviously Greg's tactical calculations a little bit better. But I think she just wanted to start, with an iconic Botez gambit. It was just for content. She didn't actually miss the tactics.
Definitely not. This is not a scripted match. Alexandra, definitely just going for content here. And honestly, Andrea, I just couldn't think of a more
A
by the book
better
way.
way
Yeah,
to start the
a
match.
better way. Yeah, you said it
Exactly.
best.
And now she's going to win every game. Now that, she shows off her signature, now
Hmm.
the real play comes in.
Yeah, yeah, and something tells me that like basically a Botez gambit at this point is almost like a 50-50 if it's going to happen. Honestly, Greg did not look that surprised. He was like, okay, yeah, one of those.
Yeah, well, Alex was flying back, face palming. So that's very interesting.
Okay, well, we're on to the next game. It is, although it's 1-0 in the match, don't forget that handicap. That's a part of this match because of the rating difference. So it's 15-1 right now. Greg has made the first strides in closing that 15 game gap. And right now, Greg is playing the Maroczy bind, which is characterized by this pawn structure right here. And from my experience with the Maroczy bind, generally it's a really comfortable position to play for white. You have more space. At some point, you can get this knight into d5, and Alexandra is going to be playing with a kind of cramped position with not a lot of space. Is this a position that you think she should be pretty familiar with, though, Andrea?
Yeah, so we studied Maroczy Bind because this was the opening I was going to play. I played the Hypixel Dragon, but actually Greg already, castling is not the best move for white because black can easily attack on his queen side. So I think Greg, it might be, yeah, it's about equal. So I think he's giving his advantage a little bit. He was
Yeah,
supposed to castle king side and leave his rooks on the queen side.
exactly. Like it's a little more natural, I think, for most chess players in general to castle king side. Greg here has castle queen side, which honestly looks a little strange, maybe to most people watching, because it's like it looks like Alexander's already got this attack on the queen side. But look how many pieces have been traded off already, and all of a sudden Greg says,
Oh
"Oh,
my
hang on,
goodness.
hang on, it's my turn to attack."
Yeah, trading off the bishops was very interesting because now it's more likely to go into the endgame position unless he's going for the king attack, which looks a little bit scary. But normally this trade should be okay for black.
Yeah, so it basically, if the queens disappeared from the board, imagine that, then I think
Exactly.
Alexandra should be very happy. She gets that nice knight on c5. So
Yeah.
because of that, white, Greg in this case, should really look to keep the queens on and go for the king.
Yeah, that is black's goal here to try to trade queens and go into the endgame.
And I'll just play a bad move for a second, f5, just to show what Alexandra maybe is dreaming of. She wants a position where her knight can choose from these beautiful dark squares, and everything's locked up over here. There's no way to get to her king. Don't know if she's going to get that. I don't think Greg is going to be so
I don't
accommodating, but
think Greg
that's
will
what she wants.
push.
That's what she wants. So how would you look to break through here? Alexandra is kind of playing in a weird way. She's going for that sturdy formation, almost like a fortress. How would you try to break through here with Greg's position?
With the white pieces, well, do you think trading on g5 would be a good idea?
Well, it's an interesting question. First of all, if Alexandra took back with the H pawn, then I would say maybe yes, good idea, because we get to push that pawn up the board. This bishop,
Pass pawn.
yep, might get in there with f5, and most of all, the H file would be open. So maybe Greg could use that. So I would say after this, Alexander would be looking to take back with the F pawn she just pushed. But if the H pawn is open, open up the file, and then be able to put that knight on e5. So I would say no. This pawn keeping the knight out of the e5 square, that's exactly what I think is good about Greg's position. So I'd probably be looking to keep it there, maybe go like g3 so that I always have a pawn on f4. And I was about to mention
Okay.
bishop to g4 and start to use some of those weakened light squares. Don't forget,
Yeah,
Alexandra, she's got
that's what
this
I was gonna say. The
snake
weak
pawn
color
structure.
complexes.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
mean, at least one benefit for Alex is that all her pawns are in black and she has a light squared bishop, which if she does get out of this mess and trade, could be to her advantage, but white is occupying the light squares, which are all weaknesses around the king.
Yep, very well said. And this is exactly why these pawns on dark squares and light square bishop, that's exactly why I mentioned earlier, if this goes to an endgame, I think Alexandra is favored immediately. So as soon as
Agreed.
those queens disappear, endgame, you're happy to have the pawns the opposite color of your bishop, whereas these white pawns here, it's fixed on a light square. It's the same color as your bishop. You get to an endgame with this guy, he's going to be able to attack that pawn, and white's only being able to defend. So that's why I think Greg is going to be focused on keeping the queens on the board. Alexandra definitely looking for an endgame.
Exactly. Here, I feel like it's a little bit hard for Alex to play because White has pretty obvious plan to attack, but for her, there's not yet a clear plan. What would you think is the best plan for Black here to defend or attack?
Yeah, there is kind of an idea, which is maybe a little weird, but you actually want to maybe take the pawn on f4 with the pawn on g5 in order to give yourself the e5 square. So you sort of secure that square for the knight by taking the pawn, and that's why I was mentioning in the last turn g3 as a potential for white, so that couldn't happen. And now, as
Oh,
a result, queen a5, Greg says, you know what? It's my time to strike. I'm going in the center with e5. Powerful move. If pawn takes e5, well, the d pawn takes e5, he's trying to take on d7. And if the f pawn takes e5, he's trying to take then on g5. This is a wild move from Greg. Do you think it caught Alexander off guard?
yes, but I don't know. I'm not following the e value here, but I don't know if it's the best idea. I have a question. If Black takes on e5 and White takes the knight, could he play something like Rook d8?
Yep. Like to
Yeah,
pin the
trying
bishop
to win
here.
the bishop back.
Definitely, definitely. Probably in this position, I would say I don't think that can be necessarily stopped. I'm trying to think of a knight maneuver that might help here. Always got to be watching when these queens are facing each other, some kind of knight maneuver. But no, that actually looks like kind of a reasonable. That the computer doesn't like it. I think white's still better in that
Oh,
position, but using the pin there seems very reasonable. F5 by Alexandra though, hitting the bishop with tempo. Once the bishop moves, then she can start thinking about taking those pawns in the center. But right now, be careful. You take there, you still lose the knight to a tactic.
yes. She could also try to be blocking up the position, maybe g4. Do you think it's better if she tries to escape the pressure and leaving White's attack on her g5 pawn, or should she push and try to keep blocking?
Yeah, that's the main issue here is that there's f takes g5, which I think is a huge threat, probably the most dangerous thing in the position.
Yeah.
White taking on d6 is honestly not as scary as white taking on g5. So in this position, even if you take on f3, this is going to get open. The g file gets open. So I think if the g file gets open, Alexander might just get checkmated. She's down a minute. Let's not forget about the time as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
this is a tough position already.
I mean, I think it's clear that Black doesn't really have any way that she can defend the g5 pawn. So I feel like moves like here she should play quickly because g4 seems a little bit forced.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's also a line of thought where you maybe take on g5, let that happen, let the white pieces take on h6 as well, and then hide your king. But at this point, I think Alexandra has to make some concessions. She has to do some things
Yeah,
she's not
at
happy with.
least for so she's not wasting too much time already down a whole minute.
Yeah, and at this point, she might consider a move that doesn't look that great, maybe e6 just to keep things closed. Taking on d6 though, I think might be the way to go, and then just put the knight on f6 afterwards. Yeah, e6, and all we can say is white's up a pawn, and it's right there on d6, looking
Yeah,
pretty strong.
this is a very uncomfortable position. That pass pawn is very strong, and her king is very exposed. Very hard to defend here.
Yeah, no, at this point, I think I think Greg's even got ideas like rook takes e6. Like haven't calculated that one out fully, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a half decent move. I think it's unnecessary for Greg because he's up so much time. He's up a pawn. No need to maybe go crazy unless you're sure there's a win. But just the idea of taking, followed by maybe like a queen check and queen down to e7, and take that knight. Maybe some checkmate ideas. This
Oh, he
definitely
didn't go
something
for
I'd
it.
consider.
I thought he was gonna go for it. I thought it looked pretty promising, but I guess he can just prepare it. Oh,
I like what Alexandra's doing. She's playing quick. Both of her last two moves were attacking moves towards the king. That's what you want to see, but it might be too little too late with 19 seconds.
yeah, she's trying to create some sort of counterplay, some attack on the king, maybe hoping he'll miss something in her time pressure. But I think now that she's let that deep pawn free, there has to be a forced win coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, the thing is, if once you don't sacrifice on e6 the first time, you're not about to do it the second time, right? So I don't think Greg is really on that sacrifice kind of idea anymore. And
Yeah.
hang on, I mean, queen b6, b2 pawn is always pressured here. The knight does guard the e6 pawn.
Yeah,
Queen
she's
f2.
finding a way to hold up.
Hang on, knight d3.
Oh,
This is something at least.
interesting.
Signs of life here. b2 is
Yeah.
hit. Both the rooks and the queen are hit. So I think we're going to see an exchange. And then
Yeah,
maybe
for
knight takes.
yeah, because I was gonna say I don't think Greg can save his exchange, but
Let's give credit to Alexandra. She made a game out of this for sure. Knight takes
yeah.
a4, I think was probably the move there, not played. And all of a sudden, Alexandra flipping this
Wow.
game around.
Oh my goodness. That is definitely what she's best at under time pressure, even a completely lost. And that's something she always tries to teach me to find any attack and put as much pressure. And it seemed like it's working for her. Now he's in time pressure.
Yep. And we've seen, I think we haven't seen Greg in time pressure. So let's go. That was Alexandra, I think, thought she blundered, but she didn't.
Yeah, I don't know what she was reacting to.
She thought she missed
Oh
knight
my
a4,
goodness.
forking the rooks, but
Oh.
she would have taken it with check. She thought she blundered. That's funny. Well, she's playing great right now, Andrea. I don't know. She's got 5 seconds. She's got to focus up.
Now we're gonna see who's really better in the end game, except with this immense pressure.
Take that pawn. Oh, rook f3 is a great move as well.
Wow.
But even if she sacrifices here, I think she's got it. She's playing really, really well right now.
This is a great save she's found.
Now, she has to be careful of knight a4, knight c5. Oh, no. What are these moves?
Oh, no.
Alexandra.
Oh, no.
Those two pawns are connected now.
Oh, no. I spoke too soon. Oh, my goodness.
Did we jinx her?
Yeah, we may have. Oh, man. It was hard to spot under time pressure, but yeah, the knight c5 was brutal. Wow. She had such a nice save, too.
Yep.
But at least we know she can. It seems like Greg obviously is a little bit sharper at tactics, but it seems like she can play pretty equally in the end game.
Well, it has to be said that Alexandra basically clawed her way back from a dead lost position. And that's already a really good sign for the Alexandra fans out there that if she can do that, she's not going to have a hard time. Ooh, what is up with that move?
Whoa. What is happening? Okay.
Okay, I don't know what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen.
I think White's still winning.
No, White is still winning.
Incredibly
It was
suspicious.
weird. It was almost equal for a little bit. Oh, and there goes the rook. Okay. Well, it was like you said. I think this gives us a lot of hope for the future matches.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting used to.
Except for the very last few moves.
Whoa. Okay, Andrea, a lot to take in there, but good things all around if you're Team Alexandra. In that, Greg did show a few signs of weakness there. He's been very consistent, but maybe a few things that we finally noticed that he's not invincible in these time scrambles, and that Alexandra really did hang in there in a position that honestly I might have given up sooner than she did. She played it super well.
I was a fan of that. I don't know if Greg was maybe getting too confident in the win because he's normally seeing those type of tactics, and he had so many winning tactics there. So we'll see if maybe he'll be a little bit more careful with his winning advantage.
Yeah, I think Greg needed to maybe go for that sacrifice. You remember that rook sacrifice that we were talking about? So maybe now that we're in a new game, he might reflect on that and feel like he needs to play more aggressive in general. So we'll see if
Yes,
that changes in the match.
especially when he has the win. But yeah, so I see we got into the same position they got into in their first game.
Yeah, and this knight b6 move, you mentioned like, hey, this is kind of a weird, off the book move, but that's exactly what good preparation is sometimes. Your opponent is preparing against you, and you're saying, look, I'm not going to play the best move in this position. I'm not going to play the most common move. I'm going to play a move that you've probably never seen before
I
because I
agree.
know that you haven't prepared for it.
Yeah,
That's what
I
knight
think
b6 feels like.
I think that his correct idea is e6, and that was what Alex had prepared. His knight b6, well, it throws her off. I don't know how much I like it for black because I feel like his knight doesn't really have anywhere to go. The c4 pawn is defended. He doesn't have a 4 square, so I don't know how good the b6 square is in general. Oh.
Yep. I think what we're seeing here is probably going to look pretty weird to most people. Knight h3, taking the double pawns. It's like, hey, Andrea, when you were learning chess, didn't they tell you don't put your knight on the side of the board?
Yeah, this definitely looks weird to me. I don't know if this is an idea. Have you seen this before, Mon?
I'm proud to say I haven't.
Okay, so maybe it isn't. I was thinking like maybe I don't play this up anymore. Maybe it's a unique sideline, but
so
yes.
one of the reasons that I think she's playing it is because I'm just going to take a second and just go back because you mentioned e6 for Greg being sort of the main idea. Then I can see knight h3 being the move, and then the knight goes to f2, guards e4, guards g4, but the knight on h3 can't be taken when there's a knight on d7 and pawn on e6. So I think that Alexandra had a plan going into this position. She got surprised by knight b6, and she's still trying to follow her same plan, but it doesn't work as well against the move that Greg had.
I agree, but Hammer always says respect your bishop, so maybe it's not bad because black does sacrifice their bishop here for that.
Absolutely. No, this is not a bad position by any stretch. I mean, as you can see by the eval bar, it's hovering quite close to equal. I think that Greg is probably happy with his position, but honestly, compared to the last time they had this, where Alexandra blundered her whole queen, hey, this is an improvement.
It's going better. Exactly.
This is awesome.
Yeah, sometimes the open g file on the king, you can use it. You can place your rook on it, bring your king to the corner, and use it as a way to attack your opponent's king. So it's not always a weakness, but it is a little bit worse to play for white, more uncomfortable.
Yeah, just the positional element that, hey, if we get down to an end game, it's pretty easy to play for Greg. And Greg right now launching full pressure against this f4 pawn, but a bit of a counterattacking move here by Alexandra, hitting c7, hitting a7, and saying, look, if you play c6, you're going to lose your d pawn.
Exactly, and maybe coming to the d4 square later, and e6 is also a weakness.
Yep, and then a6, now he's saying, look, you take my pawn, where does your knight go after it gets attacked? Actually stuck behind enemy lines.
Yep, knight c7, the knight is trapped, so maybe she's going to utilize that d4 square.
Yep, and if knight d4, I think Greg would be very interested in playing the move e5, hitting the f4 pawn, hitting the knight as well, and if Alexandra takes that, we get something that Alexandra wanted in the game where she was black, which is that beautiful knight sort of occupying the e5 square.
Yeah, e5 is a pretty good rebuttal.
So I would be interested in sort of going back knight to c3, and then after e5 trying to play f5.
And he sees it. Yeah, initially I also liked man, we make the same mistakes, Alex and I. We're like, knight d4, knight in the center, and then there's knight coming to e5, and then our bishop is going to be under attack. Okay.
And this is great, Andrea. It's really rare that the audience gets to see, like, you're here as a simulation of what the Botez might do, and then we have Alexandra to actually execute the move there. So that's a nice little insight we have.
I mean, I hope she's not playing the same moves I'm getting because I'm lower rated than her. So hopefully she doesn't play every move I suggest. Or maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it means that I've made it up to her level.
Yep, and there's that move c5, which I think is pretty much going to be a knockout blow, in my opinion here. I don't see how Alexandra saves a piece. That pawn is hitting the knight, and that knight is necessary defending the bishop. Alexandra played b3 in the previous position because her pawn was being hit, but just sort of overlooking the need to play bishop to g2. So
it's these tactics.
Yep.
But
just
I
these
don't think she
tactics.
could have. I mean, even if she would have defended her bishop, I mean, probably still would have been. But who knows? She came back in the last game from a losing position. She could do it again.
Yeah, and what's funny is that although people might not realize it, this game she's maybe down a full piece, but the advantage that Greg had last game might have been as good as this or even
Yep.
better. He wasn't maybe up a full piece, but he had such a good position, and you're absolutely right. She came back then, although it feels harder to do that when you're actually down a full piece on the board.
Yeah, I think the piece advantage is gonna be harder for Greg to throw.
And the time, let's not forget, time
Yep,
is
and the
a
2 minutes.
factor. Yeah, 2 minute advantage here. Basically,
Yeah,
the last time she used the time against Greg. Greg got low on time, and she used that to create some blunders. But with 3 minutes, I don't think Greg is going to be getting down to 20 seconds anytime soon.
yeah. Especially, it's very hard for her to find a counterattack in this position. Last time, she had that potential idea of doubling on the file of the king, but here her king is so exposed, she doesn't have much time to attack.
Yep. And well, speaking of an attack, there's a one move attack. You like to see it?
Yep, she's trying, but
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, can be easily blocked.
Yeah, and that rook is looking to access the g file towards the
Yep.
king. That knight is going towards that e5 square. And even if Alexandra takes that pawn, I was going to say, it's not the end of the world for Greg because all he's looking to do is trade, trade, trade. When you're up material, just trade everything that's equal. And then what will be left? Well, your extra material. So I think he's looking to just simplify here.
Yeah, I think that shows just how much of like a weakness, like the doubled pawns and the exposed square in front of a king, how big of a difference it makes when you're playing someone rated like 2700. That
Yep.
positional advantage will make all the difference in the end of the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, a small positional thing, not even down material, just the
Yep.
way the position looks can sometimes be the difference.
Yep.
King h1 was played. I mean, time is very low for Alexandra
Yeah.
here, just 35 seconds. She is keeping the idea of, hey, bishop takes h4, rook takes h4, and at least there's some queen h8 tricks there. So Greg is doing his last,
Yeah,
double, triple check
he
to make
learned his
sure.
lesson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think he's just spending probably most of his time on this move, come up with a good one, solve his problems. But yeah, Alexandra is hoping for bishop takes on h4, and Greg comes up with queen
Oh.
e5, trying to force a trade.
Yeah, even with her check, the king's gonna easily escape, and black has much stronger attack on the king.
Yep. Yeah, I think trades are all that Greg needs to go for here. Something like bishop takes now still met by rook takes h4. Let's not forget. Alexandra's king, by the way, is almost getting checkmated as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of a race here.
The black king has the f7 escape square, but well, white's king doesn't have anywhere to run.
Yep. So I don't know. One move, if you're really trying to trade everything, would be like bishop g5. As you can see, it just like hits absolutely everything in the position. If you really want to just go for some trades, you might lose another pawn, but you would at least get the pieces off. So we'll see. Yeah, and
Oh,
he
and he
goes for
plays
that.
it. I was
Yeah,
gonna ask, why do you think bishop g5 is better than trading bishops right away?
yeah. Just the rook takes h4. Just not even dealing with those queen h8 mates.
Yeah, I feel like it's not a huge threat, but it's definitely good to not give your opponent any counterplay.
Yep. And there's a really nice move by Greg, understanding that, hey, if bishop takes, although I just lost a piece, queen e4
Yep,
is going to be that
checkmate.
checkmate.
Yep, he removed the rook that was defending the pawn, and yep,
There you go.
that was
Nice
a
touch
that was
by
a
Greg
very
there.
nice tactical play by Greg. Played very well this game.
Yep. And he's opened up a third win here. So 3 wins in a row for Greg. People might be wondering, hey, why is the score, 15-3? I just got here. Alexander's crushing this guy. The game, or the match rather, did start with a 15-point handicap, which the players agreed on. And as I've mentioned before, it was actually like, I think we should do a 12-point handicap. And Greg was like, nah, make it 15. 15 sounds good. So
Yep.
that's why the score is currently 15
Greg
to
was
3.
confident with this handicap, and so far he's proving his confidence correct, but still many points to catch up for Greg.
Yeah, and if you just joined, you missed the second game, Andrea. We would agree maybe that that was the best chance for Alexandra. This match could easily be 2-1 right now.
Yep. All
And
right.
all it takes is like, one or two wins in this 5 minute portion to keep that, 15-point lead kind of reasonable going
Exactly.
into the bullet.
Exactly. And then who knows? Maybe she'll have some better chances in the bullet.
And let's talk a little bit about this game we got here. Alexandra
Yep.
going for the French, which is an opening that she's quite
Yes.
familiar with. Is this again something that maybe you could speak about her opening
Well,
prep?
this is the one I refuse to memorize because I'm not a fan of the French. She loves the French. So this was the one that I told Hammer Alex is going to study all on her own. So I don't know. From what I noticed with her French games is that her opening gets a little bit messy, but maybe she did review a little bit of her French line. So
Yeah, Alex, you're on your own. I'm not
yeah.
helping you. The French, yeah. If people watch Alex and Andrea stream, you'll probably know already that Alexandra plays the French all the
Yep.
time.
The French is to her like the London is to me.
Perfect. There you go. Everyone has their opening that it might not be the most popular, or maybe it is, but it's dear to them, and they won't give it up.
Exactly.
They won't give it up.
Exactly.
Well, I speaking of French positions, it could be worse. That's the way I like to talk about the French. It's like, whatever you got, it could be worse. Always remember that. So I think she's
Yeah, I
doing
mean,
just fine here.
I think her position is actually pretty good here.
Yep. This knight e7 move definitely looks like something intentional she's done. It would be more natural to have that knight on f6, but then what would happen with the open e-file is that knight would always be able to jump into f5
Yes.
using the pin. So it's a really important detail that she put the knight there, covering f5 and also blocking the e-file. So I like that from Alexandra, knight on e7.
Yeah, I was gonna say the position looks pretty comfortable for black after she could castle. She has a strong dark diagonal. Her development is pretty equal, so it seems pretty even to me.
Yep. One thing that has to be said, although I do like the move knight e7, is that when you castle kingside, now there's no knight on f6 to sort of save you when things get messy. All of a sudden, queen e4 makes a checkmate threat that could be
That
really
is
hard to stop.
true. That is true. Actually, yeah, Queen e4 is a fantastic idea. I didn't even think about. I guess the only way to defend that would be like a knight g6 move.
Yeah, knight g6, or some of those ugly looking pawn moves that you're never sure
Yeah,
about.
you don't want to
f5,
create those
g6.
weaknesses.
Yep. Yep. And Alexandra she's playing rook c8, she's playing knight c4. So I'm a big fan of what she's doing. She's playing on the side of the board where she sort of has the space. There's a little bit stronger over there. But one thing that I'm looking for is, when is she going to feel confident castling? Because at some point she's going to
Exactly.
have to castle, and it's all about, to me, how she handles the kingside pressure once she puts the king there with no knight on f6.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think she was aware of the same idea you were talking about. So she was delaying her castle as much as she could, trying to build up an attack on the queen side. But it may be time. Eventually, she's gonna have to castle. She can't leave her king in the middle forever.
Yeah, you and your opponent kind of look at each other, and it's like, well, are you gonna castle yet? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly. And it's a
anytime
bold
now.
move, though. I always have respect for them when they're delaying their castle.
Yep. So I guess one of the only other things I would consider is the move e5. If you want to delay your castling, that's one of the ways to do it. One of the issues is right now, if you start collecting the knights and Alexander takes back, you would drop that e pawn. Although you get the
Yes.
bishop pair, you would drop a pawn doing that. And you're not really advised to push pawns in the middle of the board when your king is still there. So
Yeah, and when the queen and the rook are all attacking on the same file, it doesn't look too safe.
yep. So in that position, in the position we just saw, and maybe in this one as well, I really think that it's probably a decent move to castle,
I
but
agree.
Alexandra I can tell that she's a little bit scared to do that, which is fair. And the longer she waits, though, the less likely it is that she's gonna castle.
Yeah, I feel like it must be the queen e4 threat that she's scared of, but I don't know. It looks like black could pretty easily defend with knight g6 and maybe try to attack the queen on the e4 square, but she has a knight maneuver plan. Bring your knights in the center, okay?
Yep. And I think Alexandra might be interested in giving up the bishops here just to
Yeah,
trade the queens. And then once the queens are traded, it's like, all right, sweet, I can castle.
Exactly. I'm curious if she'll go for the end game.
Yeah, the other options, remember, if you want to try to like kick that knight out with f6, I mean, your king's still in the middle. You're running into queen h5, and that's almost a knockout blow right there. So as
Nice.
expected, she
Okay.
goes
I
for the
like that
trade.
she went for this end game, and as we saw from the other game, she can play pretty well in these end game positions
Yay, we
against Greg.
castled.
Yeah, finally. And
I think
this,
she's pretty happy about that.
yes, I think this is a relief for her.
So maybe knight c6. So basically here we have a position with time even. I think Alexandra has done the right thing. Definitely, I would
Yes,
call this a success for the opening,
I
for sure.
agree.
Knight c6, she's going for trades. I have to point out that with the two bishops and the pawn majority, which just means that there's more pawns on the queen side for white on this half of the board, I would prefer Greg's position, and I think he's going to be happy with it. But Alexandra can't complain about what she's got from the opening.
Yeah, he does have the bishop pair advantage, but her knight on d5 is very strong, so
Absolutely.
it's compensating for it.
Yep, and I'm also going to say that rook on e5 looking a little weird. Like
It is a
that
little bit
bishop's blocking its
misplaced.
way.
Yes, for sure. And now, exactly, now he can't even return anywhere, cut off from the e file, but white is definitely eyeing that f3 square.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh,
I was going to say, speaking of f3,
I don't know.
probably going to
I
be
don't think the
played.
pawn push was a. Did you like the f3 pawn push? I thought
So
that square.
I definitely agree that it looks weird. I think it could have been punished by Alexandra, but she played really quickly. She immediately played rook
Yeah,
e7, and I think she might have missed an opportunity there because f3 is a move that you really want to play. It shuts that bishop down completely, and then knight on f6, it takes away all the squares it wants to go to. So in general, it's a really, really good move, but in the position that Greg played it in, his rook was still on this weird square, and I feel like
yeah,
Alexandra had a moment, just a brief moment there to take advantage of it. I don't think she did. So in the end, I think f3 paid off for Greg, but
yeah. Of
it
course.
didn't have to. It didn't have to. I think she had a moment.
How could have black punished it? What do you
So
think?
the first thing that comes to mind, if I'm just going back here for a sec, is knight d7, just to again hit that rook
Yeah,
and sort
forcing
of
it
force it.
maybe to e3.
Yep, forcing it to e3, which is another weird square. Then maybe the knight
Mm-hmm.
jumps into like c5, into b3, where it hits
Oh,
the a pawn. It's just
and
a sort of a
now
longer
okay.
maneuver.
Yeah, now
But
the dark squared bishop can't really go anywhere, so this makes sense. Okay, well, I guess it still
yep,
has the e1 plan, but
yep. So that I think there was a moment there where something could have happened. But let's get back to the game. Time even, a minute
yes,
24 apiece, literally dead even. And
yep.
Alexandra's king is more active. She's finally going to kick that rook out. It looks like, and she does. And again, I think most people will find it a little funny that Greg's bishops developed, and then he said, actually, yoink, put those right back where they came from.
Yeah, exactly. They're both on the back rank. And she's starting to take up older squares. They don't have the dark square bishop doesn't have many places to develop anymore.
Yeah, and pro tip for anyone in chat watching, if you ever want to look like a grandmaster, just put your pieces back on the squares they started. If you
Yeah,
ever put your
true.
pieces back on the squares they started during the game, everyone's going to assume that you know exactly what you're like,
Yeah,
wow, this guy's
exactly.
really good.
Because it seems like such a beginner mistake, but no, it's just because it's too high level for
Yeah, it's
us
too high
normies to
level.
understand.
Yeah, if anyone calls you out on it, you just tell them like, ah, it's just too high level. You
It's just
just
a
don't understand.
grandmaster thing.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
can't explain to you why it's good, but it is.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So pro tip there. Rook d8. Again, Alexandra is keeping the time even and keeping the
Yep.
position relatively even. But let's not forget, those bishops are just creeping around. They're starting to activate.
Yeah, they're finally starting to get out of their shell.
I'm looking at the move c4. And
C4.
I think that, unless there's some crazy knight f4, like tactical type of move, hitting both bishops or something, if that knight goes back to e7, then I think the bishop just goes to c3 or b4. And I'm
Yeah,
really starting to like the way those bishops are coming alive.
yeah, C4 is very strong. And it looks at first like it was a weak move because, the pawns are so advanced, they're not defended. But I agree after that bishop plan.
Oh, look, Greg, guys, GM
He's
alert.
doing it again.
Every time that happens, we can't question it, guys.
Yeah,
That's just it.
he tends to play a little bit passive when he has some really good aggressive plans. So I don't know if
Yep.
Greg is more of a passive player, but
Well, check the time as well. Alexandra is doing
she's
really,
up
really
on
well on the
time.
clock. Yep.
This is the part I was most interested to see if she could play in the end game at the 2700 level and hold the position. And so far, I'm very impressed.
And she is going to have games where, unfortunately, she just gets kind of crushed tactically. That's going to happen
Yes.
against a strong player. And we know it's going to happen. But in the games where she gets to these positions,
Yes,
end game,
exactly.
stuff like this, time even, she's got to capitalize. These are her chances.
I agree.
Maybe, okay, I was going to say maybe bishop e6, looking for a trade, but she's just kind of dancing around, and I don't mind this from her. I don't mind
She has a
this.
good strat. She just makes safe moves, goes back and forth just to keep her time advantage.
Yep, and that is totally fine. Totally fine. Keep that d file, it looks like. Yep.
Yeah,
And now
his
if that
bishops
bishop
are
ever
strong,
moves,
but
yep, they certainly are. Okay, and she needs to play f5 or h5 here. Has to be one of those two moves.
yep, so they don't lock her bishop back.
Okay, she goes with f5, takes. I don't mind this for her. g6.
And she may have an isolated pawn, but her bishop is defending everything.
So the bishop's going to go to e2, and h5 wants to happen. If she did h5, that wouldn't be the worst thing. Bishop e5. Uh-oh. This is bad news in my opinion. Greg is really starting to activate those bishops. c4. She's
Bishop
doing well on the
e5.
clock.
Yeah, I guess the bishop in the center just cannot be attacked. I say it doesn't necessarily do anything, but it's just it's such a strong square controlling almost both of the biggest diagonals.
Move that pawn. Play h4, h3. That's what I would have done. I don't mind this from her, though. She's going aggressive. She's
gone.
Oh, no.
Oh. He has 3 seconds, though. Anything can happen here.
Yep, that's totally true. Totally true. There's only +1. Let's not forget.
So trading rooks. Oh, wow.
It's funny. Alexandra's display picture on Chess.com almost looks like
it's
a
the same thing she just did.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, I thought that was a live look at Alexandra.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, so that's how we started the match. Man, that was so close. I never really. Yeah, I guess that check kind of threw her off and took her last seconds.
Andrea, we are going to go to basically our halftime break right here. And if there's someone who maybe needs a halftime break refresh right now, I think it might be Alexandra. So she's going to have to...
I want to go run down and give her a pep talk.
Do that. In fact, do that. I think I'd love to hear about that afterwards. So
yeah, we got 5 minutes. I might go.
Do it.
You got this. Aman is proud. You're getting these winning positions. Well, she's still winning technically in the points, so you know.
Exactly, she's still winning. Guys, let's not forget 15-4. So we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, the rest of the 5+1 portion. Be right back. everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully, nobody went anywhere. That was a break for us in the commentary booth here, for the players as well. So they got a little break. And Andrea, any behind the scenes insights into the Botez house there?
Yeah, well, Alex came running up asking me for one of my hats, and I think I saw Greg's reaction. I think he liked Alex's hat. She wanted to snap back, but I said that she should match Greg's hat. So let's see if the hat brings the wins. Oh, and an energy drink. She's really she's
Bring out
really
all the
coming in
stops.
strong. Oh, and a blazer. Okay, she
Oh
wants
my
to
goodness.
win the outfit award now. I like it. Very classy look. Looks like a
She
little British lady.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say she went from like Alexandra Botez chess player to Alexandra Botez, covert spy
Yeah,
for
exactly.
some sort
That's-
of one of those type of movies. I like it though. She's going for a shift. She says, "Look, it
Yep.
didn't go that well before. I'm gonna change everything: the outfit, the hat, energy drink. I'm going
Yes.
way different stuff."
Anything you can do to keep your mentality positive and
Yep.
looking up for the next rounds.
And one thing that's important to note for the audience and for us to remember as well is that the match clock for the entire match was paused during that break. So it's not like it was any advantage to either player. The clock was paused and it will simply resume right now when the match is resumed. So no time
Yes.
lost there in the break.
All right.
And we're back in D4 by Alexandra. The D4 is probably going to be seen, time and time again. That's
Yeah.
stick to your openings. And she's also, I don't know if she did had any time for some chess review, maybe talking to Hammer on the side there, but we got this line again.
Yes. Well, I'm curious if, well, is this the same line? Oh, no, it is. Yep. I'm curious if he's going to go again with the knight b6. He probably is because it's been working for him.
Yeah, I think normally when you're having these type of we call them theoretical discussions with your opponent. I think what you normally do is if it's working for you, you just close your eyes, keep doing the exact same thing and say, hey, look, you got to do the work here. It's fine for me. I'll do this all day.
Yeah, well, and on White's side, hopefully she's learning from her mistakes, like that knight h3 move that wasn't good, and she can try different plans.
Okay, speaking of a different plan, this one does look different. She tried e5. There was a knight h3 try, and now she's going for queen d2. So we'll see if this pays off here. But I think she's really conscious that the knight on f3 allows the move knight g4. I don't think she likes that, which is why she's been putting her knight on h3. So I think this knight b6 move by Greg totally throwing off Alexandra. And as we can see here, opening trouble already.
Yeah, this is a very aggressive move, which gets rid of the knight g4 threat, but interesting. We're gonna have to give the exchange.
Alexandra's b3.
Was there no way to save it?
Well, at this point, I think because the pawn's being attacked, like you almost have to play bishop takes knight on b6, which is a kind of ugly move. So that would save it, but it's not a move that you're really supposed to play in these openings, which is why Alexandra didn't do it. But she's not solving the knight b6 move by Greg, and I think that it is highly effective for him in this match so far.
Yeah, she needs to find an idea, but there's luckily with the speed chess, we have so many games. She'll have plenty of tries, and hopefully by the time we get down to the quicker matches, we'll figure out a good line as White. And
the worry is that when you get to shorter time controls, it's even worse when you get a position like, because it compounds how bad it is. So what Alexandra needs to do, and it's very difficult for anyone, but for chess players, it's difficult to adjust on the fly. She has to basically, the next time she gets the white pieces, she can't repeat this. She has to somehow think in her head, what went wrong and what can I do that would fix that? And she has to do that while she's thinking about all the other games she's playing. Not easy to do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole point of why we're preparing our opening so much, so that she doesn't waste time in the opening. Because obviously, giving Greg a time advantage is going to be even more of a blow.
Yep. And what we see here, Greg is just taking a pawn. He's saying, "Look, queen trades, fantastic. Winning pawns, fantastic." He's just looking to trade down here. He knows he has the advantage early on. I think he's going to snap the queens off. Yep, and take that knight back.
Yep, he's using his material advantage, but I mean, he has a weak isolated pawn. Could maybe get a little bit of material back.
Yeah, Alexandra is going to have to, I was going to say, show off the bishops. And Andrea, I mean, what's going on here? Where's the bishop c1 and looking like a grandmaster? That's why we need
Well,
that move.
I think her bishops are pretty active. In this position, I don't think that. But I know Hammer would be happy with her bishop pair. We may be down some material, but at least, our bishops are very active.
Yeah. Oh, they're active, all right. The good thing for Alexandra is she's lost all her pawns, so there's lots of space for those bishops to be
Yeah,
active. Yeah,
exactly.
let's look at it that way. Yeah, looking like this should be, as I mentioned, Alexandra is going to have games where unfortunately she gets into trouble, gets beat tactically. Greg is a stronger player. He's going to have a few games where, let's say it, Alexandra's going to get crushed a few games, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's part of the match. She has that handicap for a reason, and she needs to capitalize on the other opportunities that she gets.
It's crazy that he's finding all these tactics straight in the opening, which we
Yep.
were preparing the opening exactly to avoid that issue. But he's finding these tactics in positions we didn't study. So,
Yeah, and I think
now
it's
we
fair to
missed
say that
another one.
this is almost resignable.
Yeah.
3.5 minutes, and she is going to resign. I totally agree with
Makes
that.
sense.
It's a full extra piece. Just get to that next game. No point in dragging that one on. Back to the French. That was, I think, her best opening.
I agree. It went well with her. It went well for her the other game and going into a strong end game. So
I would say that she just needs to repeat what she did last time. She was doing well on the clock, doing well in the position. There's no reason to change what she did. Greg is repeating his position when Alexandra's white, so I think she should do the same here.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Greg has his repetition for white, but let's see if Greg how he will change his response to our French.
Yeah, and I wonder if he is, because if there's one thing I know about, IMs, GMs, when they get those positions with the two bishops, they feel like they're supposed to be better. So he might actually repeat it as well.
True.
Go right back into it. Just it's kind of like that stubborn, strong player tendency, like, oh, I have to be better. Let me prove it again.
I mean, he wasn't getting in a bad position, an equal position. So I guess there's no need for him to change it necessarily.
Yeah, and if both players are happy getting back to the same position, we might see that. But already something completely different. I think, was it actually Alex that was knight c6 played last time? This early? Can't remember.
Yeah, because I know she went with that knight a5 plan, but I don't remember if white was able to trade.
Yeah, I
don't know the French theory too much.
D6.
Yeah, she definitely did. Okay. Yeah, she waited to move that knight much later in the game.
Interesting. So maybe that did happen last time and Greg didn't trade. Can't remember at the moment, but all that needs to be said is that the current position is different than last time. It's totally different. The trade has put the queen on c6. Normally what black ends up doing is at some point going for like b5, bishop b7, putting that bishop on the long diagonal and saying, hey, that knight can't move, or you're going to get mated on g2.
So do you think the trade is favoring black now in this game?
Yeah, I think in this line where the queen goes back to d7 in this French and you go b5, bishop b7, it's nice to have the queen on c6, because
I agree.
Even if the knight goes to d4 to hit it, once that bishop gets to b7, that's no longer an option. So again, though, with h6, I think what Alexandra is doing now, and I'm maybe a little bit concerned for her, is I feel like she's kind of combining her ideas from the last position into this position, and they don't transfer that easily.
Yeah, exactly. I think she needed to go straight for that developing plan. H3, H6 wasn't necessary.
Yep, because without a knight on d4, there isn't as much of a risk of knight f5. And what I think is going to happen here, and I was about to say it, is just a KO.
I was going to say, that trade looked too juicy to do that to the pawn. Oh, and there's the pin. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, not another tactic, man. We should have done puzzle rush instead.
So is that the Botez flaw for this match? Too much opening theory, not enough tactics?
Yesterday when we were training, I also thought we were spending too much time on the opening, but because Alex and I, we play way more games than we do like real training on stream and puzzles. So we definitely need to work on our puzzles.
Yep, and shout out to Chess.com. They have a puzzle week coming up because
that'll be perfect.
That'll be perfect.
No, the Chess.com puzzles are great. They're very fun to practice. So.
Yeah, well, tell that to Alexandra.
Yeah, that's true.
I think this one honestly is resignable. Yeah, just like the last one. This is a full rook, and it's going to be a full rook, plus the bishop is going to escape after. You don't even get the bishop for the rook.
Yeah, it seems like she's walking into these tactics with moves like h6 instead of going straight for the development plan. I'm trying to find like how she keeps walking into these opening puzzles. What is a common factor?
So one thing that I could maybe point out, which I have mentioned in the other line, is I feel like Greg is doing a kind of tricky job of playing a move that maybe isn't the best, but it just gets
Yeah,
Alex that little bit out of her preparation and what she might be familiar with.
true.
And then what Alex does is she plays the way that she intended to play initially against the new move that Greg does. It doesn't work the same way, and Greg is really taking advantage of that. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, that makes sense because that knight takes c6 move was definitely favoring black, but clearly that was the whole reason he fell into this pin. So
Yep. Yeah, and Greg immediately went b3, bishop b2 in this game. Why do I mention that? Because that bishop hits that g7 pawn, and that's exactly what Alexandra's knight e7 move doesn't cover. So it feels like he sees what moves she's trying to do, what different ways she's trying to play, and he's covering it exactly the way it should be.
I'm very curious, how should she have defended the g7 square? Because her move knight f6 seemed, I don't think knight f6 was a mistake, was it?
No,
Knight f6
probably
was probably
not.
forced. It was probably just b5 that gave the game. Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's the order in which you do things. Remember, if she had done b5 before maybe bishop d5 was
Yeah, then it would have
possible,
worked.
that would
True.
have helped. And let's also remember h6. If the bishop's going to b2, a move like h6 probably not necessary at all. You don't even need to play
Agreed.
h6. So maybe you get that knight to f6 first, no h6, then you have time for
Yep.
b5, and it's just that game of chess is often determined by just those few tempi in the opening.
Exactly. Especially at this level, it's just one move in the opening that doesn't necessarily push back your opponent's bishop or develop the knight before the pawn, and that'll make all the difference.
Yep. And knight h4, just again looking to solve problems tactically here. Alexandra's king is in the middle of the board, and she cannot really
Yeah.
take this bishop on b7. I like the fact that she's playing one of these games out. I don't think she should just resign all of them immediately. At least make Greg prove it a little bit. But with the amount of time he has and the rating that he has, I think he's got it.
Yeah, it's probably resignable soon. Just because I
Yep.
have faith that Greg with this material advantage.
I think that basically she's playing on because that bishop's on b7, and she's
Yeah.
saying, look, once he saves it, I'll resign. Then he's up a full rook. But I have just a little bit
A
of
few more
hope that,
tries.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. I mean, okay, the bishop's hanging here, so that's, yeah, just take that. And I think she might resign here once she realizes that, look, there's
One more check.
one more check
One
for
more
the
last
road.
hurrah.
And knight takes f5 here is going to be lights out after king e8.
Yep. All right. Oh no! I guess the rook hanging is also there.
Yeah.
Oh no! She threw that. She's getting rid of it. Greg
Oh,
did
he's
the
throwing
same.
that.
And taking off the blades. Greg
Is,
is
is
great.
Greg going to tie his hair? Oh, wait, that's actually OP. She's tying her hair up. Greg can't copy
That's
that.
how you know it's getting serious. She
Uh-oh.
always says she thinks better when she puts on her ponytail, and Greg
Uh-oh.
can't match that. So maybe we just
Oh, no,
found
this
her
is
advantage.
dangerous. Yep, Andrea, this is dangerous. I think Alexandra just
Greg
took the
has
upper hand
no
in this match.
response. She
Nope.
finally took him out of the books.
Okay, well, that is the first time we've actually seen Alexandra come up with, some opening moves, maybe off the board that Greg
Ooh.
couldn't handle.
Oh, I'm excited for this. So this is a line that Hammer prepared,
Whoa.
and he's walking into it perfectly. So this is a line, we're originally not going to go for this because it gets us into a really weird position. So I also have to think, what was the line here? I believe we take, and now we play queen f3. We had prepared. I'm really excited, and then takes to a position where black could force a draw, and if they don't, it should be giving white a slight advantage, and Greg being the stronger player, he wouldn't want to force a draw. So
Ooh, exciting. And Alexandra playing e4. Wow, that's I've always known her as a d4 player. So if she's playing e4, better believe
yes,
that she is trying to play against something very specific from Greg.
she's taking her time here, but I know for a fact we prepared queen f3. Oh, wait, no, 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 Alex, we prepared this together. How did he forget this one? Even I remembered this one.
Oh
Hammer
no,
would be so,
this is where
no.
you gotta, this is like WWE wrestling. You gotta tag you in for that move, Queen F3, and then let her play the rest.
Hammer will never forgive that. He found the most beautiful line. He was so proud because it was Greg's pet line, and Greg would play the same response every time, and we forget Queen F3. I'm very upset. I don't even
Hey,
know if I.
anyone watching, just don't show this to Hammer. Just make sure he never
Oh,
sees it.
Hammer's
This didn't happen.
Hammer's currently doing a commentary, but he said that after he finishes, he's gonna go look, and
Oh
he's like,
no.
"Alex, you better remember." And this was the first line he taught us.
And now Alexandra is probably like,
And
I don't think this is
and now
the
she doesn't know how
line.
to play it, and I think Black's already winning.
I
Oh
agree.
man, that
I
Queen
agree.
F3 move! I'm so upset. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Especially when she's not. She never plays these positions, so.
It almost looks like after knight e5, I don't know if this is a thing, but queen d4, and then if knight c6, you play queen takes bishop, and if bishop c6, I think this knight actually just gets trapped. Like it's so weird, but there's no place to put it.
Yeah, Black definitely has a big advantage here.
And
Oh,
he's played exactly that, which
yeah,
is
and he
not a good
knows
sign.
it, and we don't. We did, but that was another thing. Like, if Greg deviates, if we deviate, then it's not going to end well for us because we
So
never
this
play this,
is
and Greg does.
Andre, I think this is maybe the third game in a row now where, honestly, Alexandra's kind of been lost in about 10 moves. It's not a good
Yeah,
sign.
it's just the opening, which is it's so rough, and it's definitely hard for your mentality because it's not like she's too weak of a player. It's he knows these lines so well and he sees these tactics. But when she gets into equal positions, we've seen that she has really great chances. So we just have to remember Hammer's lines, Alex.
Oh man, this is where it's so difficult because if if she could just check that line for like 2 seconds in
I
between the
know.
games, it would be
I
so
don't
helpful.
know.
But you cannot do that. You can only do that during the breaks if you
Yes,
want.
of course. Yeah, that's why like when I'm be preparing my tournaments, like right before rounds, you finish your game, you have like 30 minutes before, you do a quick recap, and that can save you so much energy during the game.
Yeah. And honestly, what we're about to see here, Alexandra's gonna lose this night, and literally she will have no piece developed.
Yeah, it's pretty much over from here.
I think maybe bishop there is an option, but unnecessary. I think he's just gonna take that back.
Maybe she did need me after all.
Castles, and now I think, well, bishop to g4 is definitely an option. It might look funny here that Greg basically has his entire queenside pawns wiped out by Alexandra's knight, just hopping around taking everything,
Yeah.
but it is a piece down. It is a piece
Uh,
down. Yeah, and I think at this point, hey, if Alexandra gets all of these pawns sort of up the board, she definitely has chances, but she's so far away from that at the moment.
I mean, yeah, if those pawns are advanced, they would be killer all past pawns. Maybe
Yep.
she can pull something off.
Yeah, hang on, Andrea. Let's
You
talk
never
about this. The
know.
four connected pass pawns. Hello.
I
I mean,
know those are stronger than maybe even two rooks.
yep, they can definitely be stronger than a lot of pieces, but generally, where they have to be is closer to your opponent's side of the board than your.
Yeah, they haven't made a lot of progress, but one day they'll get there.
Yeah, Alexandra just needs about 10 moves for free, and we might have a game here. Rook e8 played, and there we go. All right, we got one of them up there.
They're coming.
Yep.
The troops are marching in.
Yeah, and look how
Oh,
scared
he's
he is.
running. He is
He's
scared.
doing those GM things where he puts his pieces on the back row.
Yeah, I lost all my hope because I was so deceived by the eval bar, which for a computer, like it looks like a huge advantage for white, but I don't know. I don't think it's as over as I thought it was.
I think what's the issue is again Queen C7. It's like almost impossible
Oh,
to beat.
wow. Queen
Checkmate threat.
C7.
G3 loses the H3 pawn, and it's actually kind of the same position. If you remember when Alexandra was playing the French, I was talking about Queen E4. It's kind of the
Yes.
same problem. It's so hard to defend that sometimes.
Yeah, wow. I didn't, wow. Guess, what could she even try? Um,
uh,
I'm trying to think.
Unfortunately, I'm kind of out of ideas here.
I
She
mean,
almost has to play something like f4, like kind of yucky move, but
if she
it
pushed
stops it.
h4 and then queen c7 and then g3, wouldn't that save the pawn? I mean, the bishop would still come to h3, but then rook e1, you don't lose that pawn.
That's true. What I'm concerned about in that position is bishop g4 to f3, and then like queen into h3 and
Yeah.
mate on those weak light squares. But
Oh,
well,
she plays what I
sisters
think.
think. Oh no.
But it wasn't good, so this isn't a good sign.
Yeah, sometimes you're happy to see them copy your moves. Sometimes it's
Yeah, I mean,
oh.
anything was losing, but hey,
Well,
but
you know,
Greg
you
didn't
know,
play. Did Greg play the? You said bishop
no,
g4, right?
he did e3. He wants to end this game a lot quicker. Alexandra literally has no pieces developed.
Yeah, she can't
Greg
even
is
take.
Greg is looking for a KO here.
Yeah, bishop
Um,
can't take, and then rook takes. Oh, okay. Well, there
yeah.
we're gonna get fourth, but
So
she's
I think
trying her
Alexandra is
best.
gonna lose this game with not a single piece leaving the back rank.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because like the position without that mate threat would have been totally playable for white, but this one attack that was so unstoppable was the whole win.
Well, I think she's collecting pawns at this point. That's what
Yeah.
she's doing. Yeah, if queen takes bishop, by the way, there would have been rook check and she would have lost her bishop. And this is looking pretty over. If I was Greg, I would try to style on her and play queen takes f4.
Queen takes f4. Wow.
Pawn takes, bishop takes, and then there's a rookie one mate idea. So I would look to style here. You know, it's not that great, but as you can see, the eval bar black's still winning after sacking the whole queen on f4.
Yeah, I think Greg needs to give you some fashion points. You can put on some hats, and you need to give him some style points in the game.
Perfect. I'll take it.
A nice trade-off.
That
was
just
brutal, but it was just that queen f3 line that we missed.
And Andrea, what's happening here as Greg has now won 7 in a row is we have to start talking about a few things. Number one is that after winning these 7 games, we realize he might win almost the most games that have ever been won in the 5+1 portion because the games are so quick. That's the problem is that she's losing them so quickly that he's actually able to get more and more games in. So he's scoring a lot of points. And the other thing we have to talk about is she's dangerously close to losing 10 games in a row.
Yeah, but maybe we're also approaching the other time formats, but the issue is if we don't solve our opening issues, then Alex doesn't have any advantage in the shorter time formats.
Yeah, it's like any Alex supporters, coaches out there, if you're listening, she needs a good pep talk after this 5+1 portion about a few of those openings because
it's just the openings, but
yeah, once she gets past the openings, we've seen time and time again she's had fantastic games where she actually is really good in the time scrambles, a lot better in the endgame portion, and Greg is kind of, as you pointed out, a little bit passive maybe when he needs to be decisive, but he hasn't been forced to play any of those positions because he's winning the games in the opening.
He's getting these killing tactics in the beginning, but he only has like half of her points, so still a lot of hope.
Yep. And let's be clear. Alexandra in this position, it might not have been so great last time, but this was her game where she actually could have won at the end. So
the issue with the Maroxy bind also is she never plays the Sicilian. This was my opening, and I had memorized these lines because I love playing against the Maroxy bind, but we're messing up some of the ideas here, and we should be punishing his queenside castle because it's incorrect, but instead he's getting the attack on our king. So
yeah, and queenside castle rather
queenside
screams to me like it's one of those moves that it might not be the best, but again, it's not in Alexandra's opening theory, and it's just taking her out of book just enough.
I mean, she's trying. She's sacrificing something, trying to maybe open up near his king.
Yeah, you can't lose pawns if you sacrifice them first.
Yep, exactly. Last game she had too many pawns, and now we're sacrificing them. She has to find the balance.
Exactly. Somewhere in the middle.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Just got to keep experimenting.
Yep. Okay, so a4, a3, and this has been seen before by Greg. He pretty much always stops the a pawn with a3, and he's going to eventually like shuffle his king over to b1, maybe even right now. Knight d5 looks very strong to me.
Oh no. I didn't
This
play.
also, yeah, this also looks strong. He's going for the attack. Usually the idea after knight takes h5, hey, we all might be tempted by these rook sacks, but another idea is to get that queen out to h6 and go for g4 to kick it,
Yeah.
open the h file.
That's why typically I always try to push h5, and because if you allow white to open up exactly once they bring their queen, it's so hard to defend. And now I think that queen h6 threat, I don't even know how black could defend.
Yeah, I think Greg was like, look, queen h6, after I take with check, king f7, I don't really have a checkmate right off the bat. And he wanted to get his king away from some potential pins
Makes
on the c
sense.
file. So he's saying, look, I have that for next move. Now it's your
Yep.
turn again.
Because
Defend.
it's unstoppable. So good to stop all your opponent's counterplay first.
Yep, that's definitely a very mature decision there. Knight d5 is also now possible again because he shuffled the king over. So that would threaten knight d7 and the queen would for white would also come into h6 as we talked about. So this is looking pretty good for Greg. And I know there's +1 seconds, but you look at the time, he's only used like 30 seconds.
Wow. Yeah, he's just killing it straight from the opening. But you have to say, while he was playing a little bit, he's a little bit more of a passive player. That shows off as one of his strengths, because for me, I probably would have just been really distracted by the queen h6, went to the attack, but his preventive moves are a very good skill.
Yeah. And at some points, as you pointed out, maybe in the end game later on, you know, he needs to be more decisive, but the fact that he's playing these defensive moves, even when he's in an attacking position, it works really well at this point.
Exactly. He learned his lesson where he gave Alex one attack in one of the first few games and never did it again.
Yep, 100%. And hey, rook c3 might not be the winning move, the best move, but I kind of like it.
She's trying something.
Yep.
You know, when all hope is lost, you got to try to create some issues.
Yep, I do not hate this at all. After, let's say, king b2 as an idea to defend the pawns, the rook might go to b8 for another sack on b5. And look, after queen takes h7, king f7, I don't know, you know, we're running away.
Yeah, it'll take him a little bit of time to look for a defense.
Yeah. So one I guess attacking idea after queen h7, king f7 might be rook h6 to keep in mind, hitting that g6 pawn, and you know maybe she meets it 5, but just that is probably how white's going to look to proceed.
Yeah. So white's attack is too forcing, and it doesn't give black time to bring the rook to g5 and queen.
Yeah, but as with attacks, hey, the computer might be like, hey, Greg, don't worry, it's +4. You're crushing. But at the same time, a human looks at this and says,
yeah, it's intimidating.
And look at that.
Oh, and he's playing that. There we go. Like we said, that passive play. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's blocking his sight from seeing the winning forcing attack.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alexandra gets maybe the rook over, this bishop can slide into b3, and as soon as this knight really joins the game, like knight e6, knight f4, knight c5, and once that knight gets in there, I think there's real chances for Alexandra, but she has to play a little bit quicker right now and activate all her pieces.
Yes, exactly. It is giving a little bit of hope that he's getting scared, he's getting defensive, but the time, like you mentioned, 2 minutes already.
Yep. I think rook b8 is very reasonable.
Yep, following the plan.
Rook d4, and what is he planning here? Something that I think is really annoying. He's maybe planning to take that pawn, but maybe more importantly, he's going to stick that rook on b4.
Rook d4. Oh, b4, yep.
Guard the pawn and be like, look, that everything's protected now. What are you going to do?
Yep, he found a good defense, of course. You know, he sacrificed a bit of the attack, but now there's no chances for black to enter the king.
Yeah, and we might say, hey, Greg should have played a more aggressive move than that. But if he's going to play passive, the problem is he's really good at it. He's a really good defender.
And Alex's strength is definitely like finding a comeback in these losing positions, and he just never allows it.
I think rook b4 is the way to go here.
Yep, rook b4, and there's no more attacks on his pawns.
Yeah, she can take that, but she would be walking directly into a pin herself. Either c4 or queen b2 would take care of the threat there. Now, I think there's still hope. Basically, if Alex can get her knight to c5, that'd be fantastic. Unfortunately, now knight e6 is met by bishop c4. And queen g2 would
Wow.
be a Botez gambit. Let's not play that.
Yeah, it's hard here because in time pressure, when so many natural moves are losing and you have to waste time calculating here, it's so much pressure to keep up with 17 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing is that Greg knows that she has low time, so he's gonna play like
Yes,
kind of tricky moves. He's gonna use that
exactly.
against her.
He was definitely putting the pressure on.
Okay, c4. At this point, the knight to me just needs to move. The knight needs to move.
Yeah,
I like
well,
that move.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, he does have a pass pawn, but putting all his pawns on the square of his bishop kind of blocked it in, and now she can finally develop her own bishop.
Hmm.
I kind of like I like the plan she's making for developing her pieces. Still winning for white, but it's improving.
Yep, completely agree. The knight is finding a path to a good square here.
Yes,
c5,
e4.
d4, f4, depending on what she wants to do, but I think that's great. Yeah. There we go. You can see the computer starting to understand like white's got a great position, but hey, black's position is kind of improving a bit.
Yes, but the issue is I think those two pass pawns are just might be unstoppable.
Yep, Alexander's doing a good job getting the king off that diagonal. You never know when there's going to be a check. King on a dark square, nice and safe.
He's trying to go into the end game, makes sense. But
Yep,
those four
Alexandra's down
seconds,
material. She doesn't
oh,
want to trade. Nervous here. The time 4.3. Remember, you don't get like plus 10 seconds every move. You get plus one.
one, which is
It's hardly
nothing.
anything. It takes most people
Exactly.
1 second to process the move or think of the next
Yes.
one.
Yeah, honestly, the time is the biggest deciding factor, and I'm almost flagged there.
Yeah. Yeah, she almost has to be in like pre-move territory, and it's so
Exactly.
hard to do. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Oh,
she loses
wow. It went.
0.1.
Yeah, it's crazy because like once you get down to 2 seconds, you're never going up. You're never gonna get to like a equal 4 second every round.
So some kind of quicker tactics there. I like the speed from Alexandra. I can't say
She's
I'm a fan of the
trying.
moves, but
She just doesn't want to flag, but it's lost.
yeah,
All
there we
right.
go. And I think we'll get, well, let's hope for Alexandra's sake she doesn't lose the game in 10 moves. But I think this is going to be the last game in a 5+1 time control.
I don't know whether to be excited or worried about the other time controls, but maybe the fact that Greg will have less time, even though he'll have better opening positions, maybe her speed will give her an advantage and he won't
Yeah,
see all
I
these
think
killing lines.
I absolutely agree with
Could go
that.
both
That
ways.
yeah, the lower the time, the better for Alexandra. And look, for the first time, she finally admits
The London!
she admits that her
Yay!
younger sister has the better opening.
Yes, dude, if I was there, I'm telling you. But it's okay. I always get very picky when I watch your London because London is the only opening I play as white, which I'm gonna branch out soon. But I've studied a lot of those lines. And I'm a big fan of the London.
So how's she doing right now?
So, well, the knight normally doesn't come to d2, especially pushing c4. Knight c3 is better, but Hammer did discuss that he doesn't like the doubled c pawn. So I respect your decision. So pretty solid so far. Maybe
Okay.
not my line, but I think it's so far so good.
Well, if it's not your line, then it must be garbage.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Knight d7. So black wants to play e5. Generally, in these positions, I am not a fan of playing bishop on d3 because I never like the
The
idea that that
fork.
pawn could end up on e4. So
Exactly.
I would go for like bishop e2 and bishop h2 and
Yes,
castle.
that is my line as well.
Yeah, and I agree. Knight c3 might be sort of a little more following my instincts, but knight d2, the way it happened, trade, queens out, can't complain about that. It's more that Alexandra needs to be familiar with bishop e2, bishop h2 ideas, and she's
And
got
she
bishop
she
e2.
does. Yeah, my
Yeah,
only worry about the queen on d2 is that if he gets e4, the knight doesn't have the d2 square, but now he'll have the d4 square. So
right. Now, in the London, just as a general thing, there's not many positions where I get attacked on f4 and I go forwards to g5. I almost
yeah,
always go back.
it's definitely not there, but I think for players like Greg probably doesn't have all his lines against the London memorized, so it might benefit her.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think at this point the bishop is not going to get trapped. It can always, go back here, so no worries about that. I think castling is pretty important for white to do. And just as a general thing, a couple moves ago, I'm not a big fan of taking on e5. I think that
Yeah,
if
you
she just
normally
comes
leave your
back with the
pawn.
bishop, that she can keep her center pawns and be happy about that. But her position is not bad here. I think she just needs to play a little bit faster, have more confidence in this London.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it either, but I'd say maybe it was good because then, because her knight doesn't have the d2 square, at least
Right.
trading would mean that her knight could go forward once they push e4. And now she
That's
got the
true.
e4 push, so it's
Hmm.
getting into an interesting position.
So she might want to go at bishop h6 to trade pieces off. It's kind of a lot different than a London now. It basically feels like a King's Indian.
Yeah.
This bishop also might want to go back to e3. And first off, Greg says, look, you just played e4. Your pieces don't look like they can do a good job defending it right now. How do you handle a simple one-move attack? With a
Okay.
simple one-move defense.
Makes sense. Yep.
This looks good.
I like that her bishop is controlling the d8 square so she can bring her rook to the file, but and normally the f6 move, I normally don't mind it because it blocks his bishop, it opens up the light square diagonal. So
Yep.
our bishop on g5 is doing a good job.
Yep. Yep, and it probably should come back to e3. It hits the knight from that square, so if it ever gets attacked, I think that's where it should go. I'm wondering if Greg is thinking about something very aggressive, sort of in the f5 realm, but it looks
Oh,
like
yes.
no, he's going positional.
F5 is always very difficult to play. I wonder if you could have, well, you could still go for it eventually.
Yep, queen on c6. Basically, Greg is playing on the dark squares here. And wow,
There
kind
we
of
go.
combining all the
Yep.
ideas that we mentioned,
Looks
f5 play.
F5 is pretty strong.
So f4 is the one you don't want to overlook. That is a free bishop, so careful about that. And if you take on f5, first of all, I don't think you can grab this pawn on g2 because there is bishop f3, but she is going to go f3 to
Oh,
give her bishop
interesting.
some
Did
room.
you think F3 is better than trading on F5 and pawn takes back on F5?
Well, yeah, the thing about taking on f5 is that it doesn't solve your problem. You're still facing f4, and your
True,
bishop
with the other
has some
pawn.
issues. So if you're going to play pawn takes f5, you better have the next move ready. So I don't
Makes
mind this for
sense.
Alexandra. I don't mind
Yeah,
this.
at first I was skeptical, but then I didn't realize, yeah, the F4 threat is unstoppable, so might as well block.
Yep. Yeah, knight b3. So she's covering this. I think I was going to say he's going to play a5, look to kick that knight away. Question time for Alexandra. Is she going to play a4? And she does. I think that she gives up a lot of squares, but I like the move.
Yep.
What did she have to play there? I'll just point it out because I think it was kind of important. Instead of castling after bishop f8, I think she would have punished Greg if she had maybe played c5 herself. So
yeah, I think she played so quickly there because she saw bishop before giving a check. She didn't want to waste time, but
yeah.
this is a very interesting move. It's harder to find. It's not as intuitional.
So this position, I'll just say, is so rough for white just because of the fact that we're sort of headed towards an endgame, and there's going to be the two remaining bishops are going to be these ones, and the
Yep, and the
light
pawns.
squares. And guys in chat, can we get a count
Oh,
on how many light square pawns Alexandra has? Because
yeah, she's not
it's
favored here.
it's going to be rough in an endgame. I think Greg is up on time. He's got a great positional edge. And I think from what you and I have seen from Greg's play so far, he would love this kind of game.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to take it now, but the issue is the bishop's pinned, so it's bound to happen.
Yeah, and to some people, this type of advantage for black is like almost better than like a free pawn. Just having that dark square control everywhere. And if the pieces just trade on the d file, the bishops trade, if everything trade, it's going to be even material. But Alexandra is going to be pretty far behind, probably more than you might think.
Yeah, I wonder if she could try like king f1. Hope he doesn't take the bishop and then maybe put that guy somewhere. But I don't think there's any way to avoid
Oh,
it.
maybe Greg heard you.
Yeah, no, I don't think Greg would miss the bishop trade.
Yep. I think he's gonna. Whoa, that is a. Okay, I think that's a weird move.
You didn't like his pawn takes? I mean, it connects.
No.
It brings like a backwards pawn, but it does connect his pawns. Then again, the e5 pawn is in weakness, so I don't know if he needs the defense.
Yeah, so I think that Alexandra can try to set something up where like the rook goes on d3, kind of guards her weak pawn, and she puts her queen behind it, like on d2.
Nice.
And then she's hitting a5, she's hitting d6. She can put her bishop on d1 to guard that pawn on b3. I don't think it's the end of the world for Alexandra. I think she needs, and she's done exactly that. I am a
Yeah,
big
it's like
fan
a
of what she just did.
yeah, a pretty solid fortress here. I don't really know how black can enter break through.
Yep.
Maybe, yeah, maybe with h5, g4, but oh,
So an easy thing to underestimate is that trading the queens is not actually a good thing for you as white, because now black probably, over time will be able to get that king to c5, to b4, like to infiltrate.
oh,
And if the
true.
queens are on the board, that king cannot take those kind of journeys.
That makes sense. That's a very good point. See, I always like this commentary because I learn a few things as well. And my
Yeah,
end games are my weakest part, so that's a great end game lesson because I never really know when you want to trade the queens in positions like this.
yeah, and it's kind of tough because you feel like, hey, black has the upper hand, and he does. You
Yeah,
want to trade the
exactly.
queens to get rid of the pressure,
'Cause
but
he's
actually the queen.
attacking. Yeah.
Exactly. The queen for white was probably the only thing keeping her really in the game there.
Wow.
So this is a position where Greg is basically going to waltz his king sort of around to at least
Yep,
c5.
he's doing exactly that.
And
I
then he's going
mean,
to play h5 and g4. And Alexandra is going to
she could
not
waltz
have a
her
lot to
king
do.
as well, maybe.
Like over to the queen side.
Yeah, what do you think about that? She's doing it.
Yep. So what's going to happen here is she's going to be successful in getting over there. But after black plays h5, brings the rook over to h8 or g8 and
Oh,
plays g4,
the issue is
black's
the
going to be
rook.
infiltrating. That's
I
right.
see. Yeah, if she could have maybe defended the file so that he couldn't come to the second rank, but yeah, her rook is trapped in by that bishop.
Yep. And he's got the g5. He's going to play g4. Once he gets g4, he's either going to go like g3 or pawn takes, and he's going to infiltrate, and he's going to be first. And being
Yes,
first is all that
exactly.
matters.
Just one move behind for her.
I know it's painful because the pawns are even here. The pieces are even.
Yep.
It's like, hey, I should be like losing this.
It's crazy.
Um,
It's like almost exact dead equal position, but just one move behind will make all the difference.
yep. So I think a little bit of a strange move. Greg played rook g7 instead of just playing
Yeah, he seemed to
g4.
waste the tempo,
Yeah, 100%. I
which
don't think that
was
was necessary.
very important.
Yeah, I don't think that was necessary. Still, he's probably comfortable, happy here.
Ooh,
But Alexandra can't complain. She's got a rook down there as well.
yeah, and I like her bishop there a lot. Seems to be now defending, and the rook can't enter anymore, especially now that she has the file.
Yep, absolutely. And hey, if Greg like puts his bishop somewhere like and it gets traded, it's actually checkmate on c8. So you got to be super
Yeah,
careful.
it's starting to look like a draw to me. I'm not sure if Greg can break in anymore.
Yeah, probably what he's hoping to do is get the bishop to g4. So in this
Yeah.
position, if Greg moves his bishop, Alexandra's going to have to move. I don't think she wants to move.
Oh, and she's going to be in Zugzwang soon because she's going to have to move a rook, which is going to allow bishop g4.
Yep, and what she has to do is whenever this is a move or threatened, she has to be threatening checkmate somewhere
Yes.
on this king.
Yeah, and if she delays it and moves her king back, then he would be able to come to b4. But oh, he is
So
defending
Alexandra's
it.
doing a
Okay.
good job.
Nice.
So if the king starts to move back, I would instinctively move my king towards the king side.
Interesting. Yeah. The only worry I have the king side is because couldn't black try to come king c5, king b4?
Yeah, so basically as many squares as black is away from c5, I would be that many squares away from c3, essentially.
Okay. Ah, that makes sense.
And what just happened there, Greg just did sort of a classic trick where he just shuffled. He just shuffled the piece. He's going to win this game
And
now.
he got the tempo.
And
Wow.
that was not losing for Alexandra, but he just waited around, and unfortunately she did make that mistake in time pressure. Yeah, this is completely lost here.
It's so hard because she could have held the draw, but it's just her last seconds. She's under 10 seconds. He had a minute.
Yep, it's not easy. I'm just gonna go. I think the position's winning. I'm just gonna go back to that moment
how she could have
because
saved
after
it.
king c6, it's like, what should she do? Just move her king. She had the rook covering g4, king back, king d2, king anywhere really. She's covering it. I'm gonna get back to the game just to watch the end here, but that's exactly the moment where Greg didn't have a threat, but it's like she thought he had a threat, so she made a different move.
So the rook should have only came to the back rank when he played king c5, when it would only actually have a mate threat, right?
You've got it.
All
You've
right.
got it.
So
Yeah,
a
the king
nice
on
little
c5.
endgame lesson. Man,
Small
that's so
things.
rough because she was so close, like so
Yeah.
close, came back from a disadvantaged position and almost had that draw.
Yeah, and you saw the look that you kind of the handshake that Greg gave there at the
Yeah.
end. He knows that he probably knew that that wasn't totally winning, and he didn't have a way
Exactly.
to win it, but he was just kind of going in
It's
circles.
the Grandmaster Shuffle.
The Grandmaster Shuffle. We'll call it that. I like the name. The Grandmaster Shuffle. Well, this is the I'm not a GM tournament, so Greg is already, if he's playing like a GM, he's overperforming
True.
for sure.
I always call him a GM because we were talking about those GM moves with the bishops. And he plays like one, so
Exactly. So Alexandra is started with 15 points. Greg won 9 games in a row. There is not going to be 10 games in a row in 5 minutes. So hey, no adoption in 5-minute portion. We can say that. That's the good
There
news.
we go. No, I'm excited for the next few games. I predict Alex is going to have a nice comeback.
Yeah. And the next portion is going to be 3+1. So that's why we think, Alexandra has been doing well in these time scrambles. That when the game goes longer, she does a lot better. She's got to get out of those opening troubles. The break is going to be good for, the chat to get their snacks refreshed, for you and I to take a short break, and for the players especially to refresh before coming back. So, Andrea, we're going to take a short break here. And when we come back, we're going to continue with Alexandra Botez against Greg Shahade in the I'm Not a GM tournament after this. welcome back, guys. You will only hear my voice for now, but just wanted to introduce you guys to and remind everyone of the Arena Kings Season 6, which is getting started Monday, January 11th. So, $20,000 prize fund for that. I think that is one of the kind of most well-known events, Andrea, on Chess.com, and we get another season of that. Has Alex been competing in those? You at all?
I think I did play in Arena Kings. I remember like 2 years ago. Alex, I'm not sure. You'd have to ask her, but I know these are always a lot of fun to watch. These are also my favorite.
Yeah, it's like a full season competing for prizes. Starts Monday, January 11th, and pretty much all your favorite streamers should be or will be competing. So just a reminder about that. I know that's also a reminder for me to pencil that in the calendar. All right, and I see we're back here. We got the cams. What is Greg? Are you doing some CrossFit over there?
He actually does do CrossFit. I remember I learned that about him when we first played our match.
He almost looks like he's just pacing in his office. He looks concerned.
I don't know. They sure have been working out before these rounds, keeping themselves energized. Alex needs to pull back her dumbbell.
Yeah, what happened? Like she started the match full of energy, lifting weights, then
Yes.
she changed outfits, drinking energy drinks. Like, what's the game plan for 3-minute time control?
She went from the healthy athlete to the normal chess streamer, the caffeinated drinks, and
Yep, I see that. She's made the full transition now.
Yes, her final stage, our real form.
Yes, exactly. 3 minutes plus 1 second increment. That is the new time control. It's all the same. It's 15 to 9, so that 15-point handicap coming in handy because honestly, it'll probably be very close going into the bullet if the current pace that Greg is on keeps up.
I want to see Alex hustle some Blitz games. Now is the time.
Yeah, I think one thing that has to be said is anytime you have these matchups where maybe one person's kind of the stronger player going in, all it takes is one game, one draw, one win, just get on the board as Alexandra, and the confidence just goes through the roof.
Exactly. She just needs one breakthrough.
Yep.
For sure. I've seen so many matches myself where like I'm leading and then my opponent gets one win, and then just like that, they're start winning 3, 4, 5 games in a row.
Yep, love the move E5 here from Greg. I think it's exactly what needed to happen. B7 is possible to take, but Rook D1 also.
It seems like her strat now is to just go back to her most comfortable openings. I see, so nothing that's been prepared. So maybe that Greg won't have anything against this. But E5 was a great move.
E5 is a good move. Now, one thing about 3-minute chess, just to talk about the difference in the time controls, one thing that changes, well, obviously there's less time, but what that means is that you can't really spend, a minute thinking about a move because that's a third of your time all of a sudden.
Yes.
You can't be doing that. So a time advantage in 3-minute chess is going to be a lot more significant than in 5-minute chess. But the other thing it means is that your time runs out a lot quicker. So the hope for Alexandra and the way that she's probably approaching this is, hey, let me try to play a little bit quicker, get Greg down on time, and not, just survive the opening, and things are going to go a lot better. As I say, survive the opening. I'm concerned for her here.
Yeah, speaking of time advantage, and I do the same mistake. It's so sad to see 40 seconds on one move, and I know exactly how it is because I'll spend like minutes on one move in Blitz. You just get so caught up, you think you're losing.
Yep. So there are a few good options there for Greg. Bishop G5 looks very, very sturdy because, how do you stop this? Very simple tactic, removing the defender on F6.
Yeah, I think Rook B8 missed this, and
just a little bit too defensive from Alexandra. She needed to say, look, forget that pawn. I'm already up a pawn from E5. Just castle, get my king out of
exactly. Just into the castle.
Yep. Yeah, she's down a minute here, and it's just these opening issues for Alexandra. The games where she sort of gets out of the opening, no problem. It might even be worth it for her to spend a little extra time in the opening, make sure these things don't happen, be down on time in the middle game, but at least be in the middle game.
Yeah, I have to say, I underestimated Greg's openings. I didn't think he'd be finding killer lines every single game. It's very impressive.
Yeah, it really is. It's not easy, no matter what your ratings are.
To be so
Sometimes I'll
sharp.
play a I'll play a 1500 and they'll get to the middle game. It doesn't matter, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
this is an impressive showing by Greg here, and
Yes.
that is going to be taken on d7 with the rook, I imagine.
Yep. But she can just practice her speed here. We're down well, more than an exchange, but
An exchange was a generous way to put it. Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
An
it's
exchange
okay.
of a
She
queen
just,
for a rook.
as soon as she gets a good opening, I know she can turn the tables. But this
That
game isn't it.
that hurts.
Okay,
That
it's all right.
hurts.
Just shake it off and new opening, new game, new try. She needs to keep her head up.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Greg is actually getting 1 point per game, and Alexandra is losing 1 point per game. So she's just entered the 2099 territory. So Greg is
Oh wow.
slowly feasting on her
He
elo,
gets
1 point
one
at a
game,
time.
1 point per game. Wow.
Yeah.
But then again, if she wins one, there'll be a lot
Okay.
more juicy points.
Andrea, did she look at the line? Tell me she looked at the line.
Okay, I don't know. Well, she hasn't been up here. I don't think she prepared. Okay, Queen F3. Yes. Okay.
Yay!
Finally.
Yay!
Finally. All right. So I believe here the move is H. Wait, is it H6?
Just give Alexandra the point right now. She
Yes. Okay,
remembered Queen
correct.
F3.
94. Correct. Beautiful. Everything. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, she's doing it. She finally remembered line.
Are we still doing it?
Yes.
I'm going to you on this. Okay.
Okay. I don't know if Queen F3 was correct. Is it?
So
Not
Queen,
gonna lie, my memory didn't go that far. Okay. Oh, it is.
Queen,
wow, this is all theory. Yep. This is correct. He could have played the line that we prepared was Bishop E7 here. We take on E5. Oh, no. I think this is still correct. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah. Queen takes now, and then Bishop E7, and then Queen B8 check. And if they block, that would be the drawing line. But something's going astray. But white has the advantage. So clearly the line worked in her favor, and Greg must have went out of the books, giving her the advantage.
Wow, this is some deep
Finally
theory.
for Hammer. Hammer would be proud. This is what Hammer's been waiting for. I think this is what we need to take us to the win.
Hammer is sitting somewhere in a rocking chair with coffee.
Yes.
Going, the smile is just forming on his face.
Very satisfied. Now, this is hard because she's up. So this is exactly Hammer was like telling us, you're up. How much up are we here?
So,
3 material points, but we have a rook and
very
pawns.
weird position, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of like 2 bishops for black. He's running out of pawns, but
Exactly.
Alexandra has almost all her pawns, but no development.
Yeah, that's the issue. So we have a big material advantage. It's much better for white, even though something must have went wrong. But the hard part is the lack of development.
Yep. And I'm not sure how black's supposed to play this, but keep in mind there's a pin on this rook. So
yeah, I know taking on G2 wasn't correct. So
yeah, no, this move looks very reasonable from Alexandra. I think she needs to play D3, knight E4, like bishop out, and just like long castles, quick as possible.
Developing. Yeah, and luckily it's a pretty easy plan for white. It's harder for black. So
yeah, I wonder if he should bring the knight back in, like knight C6, knight D4. If B4 needs to be played to hit the knight. The computer is certainly favoring white here, but I would say this is the kind of position that could go either way still, because it just looks like a total mess.
Ooh. Oh, queen check winning the pawn. Oh, so, but rook E6. But
yep, no, you don't want to take this pawn, but I would say you probably want to give that check, and then I don't know, like almost like D3. I want to say, is there any problem with that? Yeah. Bishop H6 is not quite a threat, but what you might consider is rook takes G2, rook takes G2, bishop H6. I don't know if that's like a working idea, but it certainly looks tempting to me.
Ooh, I like it. I think now it's time for Alex to show us some tactics. All right. Could your idea wouldn't work, right? Because the queen could just defend the bishop.
Yeah, the queen could just defend the bishop. I think it's reasonable to still maybe go for it and play the endgame after that, because she is up some pawns. That's an option. The other option is get the bishop out and just try to castle.
Yeah, especially when she's actually up on time, but in these short time formats, I think she should just go for the more comfortable developing moves that takes less time to calculate, and she does. So good.
Yeah.
This is it. This is gonna be it. Don't throw, Alex. This is our game.
Okay, knight's being hit. Now, if knight e4, bishop takes e4, and if you take on g6, bishop takes g6. Be careful. Bishop takes e4 is a winning tactic.
Yep.
Bishop c5. Now, okay, takes, there is mate. What has to happen? I believe it's knight e7. And the only thing I would
Nice.
say to be careful of for Alexandra is rook h6, somehow like trying to get the queen. But right now she's got queen takes e5, and it would be met by rook e6. So just rook h6. Be super careful of that queen. I think it's lost after rook h6.
Rook h6, I feel like there has to be something. I mean, she could also just sack if she really needs to take the rook and the bishop.
Yep.
Well, you were saying lost for white or for black? I thought you were saying for white.
Yeah, it'd be lost for like rook h6. The queen would be stuck on h8.
Oh,
And if
okay.
you took the pawn, then rook
Okay,
e6.
so yeah, lost for white.
Yep.
But
so
yeah,
she
I think
sacked.
just because of her material advantage, exactly. Even rook h6, she could just trade
Big
off.
Big fan over here. Nice move, Alexandra.
This is it. Knight is coming in. Finally, we're the ones starting to take the queen.
Yep, but Greg's not going to go down that easy. He's going to defend
definitely
knight
not.
f6. If rook g8, though, there's still knight f6. Okay, Alexandra.
Oh, she could
take
just
this one
play
home.
check and just change. She's thinking. She's looking for something better.
I think knight f6 is totally
Yeah, I
reasonable.
just got it. She's already up so much material.
27 seconds each. I think she made the right decision there.
Yep.
What's it going to be? Is she going to trade? Queen h1. Let's keep in mind that's the idea. Queen h1 check.
I mean, she could just castle and be safe.
I like this move though.
Yep.
I like this move.
Trying to trade.
I think Greg might take the rook on an a1. No. Okay. So she's going to give check and castle, maybe, and queen takes a2.
Oh, she didn't choose the castle.
King e2. Let's go, Alexandra.
Okay, she's being bold.
Check.
I like it though because she's not scared of anything, and his time is ticking.
Yep. Rook b1. Good. I like all this.
Solid defense.
Queen f5. Queen f3.
Yeah, she can defend here.
This is it though. She's got to get this game.
Yes, it was all the opening line. Yep, can't take because then we get check on b7. Very nice.
She's playing super well here. b3 almost looks like a mouse slip. I don't know what that is, but I think he wanted to keep the c file closed. He wanted to keep the c file closed. Nice job by Alexandra.
He's up so much.
Yep. Just careful here, Alexandra, but you got this.
Careful. Yes,
Queen takes f7. Don't play that. That's the Botez gambit. Not that one. Okay, king's nice and safe. Maybe rook a2. Rook a2.
Yeah, rook a2. Very nice.
I like it.
I guess, yeah, rook comes a6.
So maybe. I would do queen c6. Just trade the queens. You know you're going to win.
True. Just force
Just trade the queens.
But
she's playing so well, though.
He has 1 second. Uh-oh.
Let's go.
Ooh, very tricky. Nice. Finally, I told you it's the shorter time control.
She's celebrating like she just won the match. That's how good it feels.
She's so happy because it's her first. I mean, yeah, after 10 losses in a row and a long time control, it's been a while, an hour of just defeat. So this is a very important win.
And let's give Alexandra the full credit she deserves because that was a nice game.
A great game.
Nice preparation. She remembered it, Andrea, and look what happened.
Second try, and that was the hammer line, and he deviated.
See what happens when you listen to Hammer?
Exactly. Exactly.
And hey, we're back to this French line right after, which I thought has been going decent for her. So this could be good back-to-back momentum.
Yes. And now she won't fall for that tactic twice if he takes on c6. So
beanie on Monka W.
Yeah,
Greg's got the beanie. Uh-oh. So what happened last time? I think it was knight c6 here by Alexandra, and then it was taken.
She should still play because the take wasn't bad for her. There we go. This is the same thing.
Yep. This looks very, very reasonable. She wants to, this time, I think, take back with the bishop instead. She didn't have a good time with her queen there.
Yeah, even though we liked the idea.
Now, I think Alexandra needs to adjust though. Her setup has been like bishop out knight e7 and like h6. And I think I mentioned last time when I see b3, I'm not sure that I like go for the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. What would you even suggest? Because it's not very easy to defend the g7. I mean, I guess knight f6, same thing.
Yeah, I think like knight f6, bishop e7, or maybe even bishop on d6 is totally fine. But knight f6 against a bishop on b2 looks very reasonable to me. But you don't
Yes.
need h6 as much, you know.
Yeah. Oh, she still goes 97. Yeah, I like the knight f6 a little bit better. I wonder if there was. No, I don't think there was any sack.
Yeah, I don't think she liked knight f5, and in general, like that's the reason you play knight e7.
Oh,
And
yeah, it still works here.
what it's going to come down to is I think Greg's just going to put his bishop on b2. His bishop's going to go back to d3 at some point if it gets hit.
She's still pushing h6.
And let's not forget, Andrea, she's going to have the same issue to deal with. Are you comfortable castling? That's all I'm asking.
Yay! She fixed
There we
it.
go.
She did it. Perfect. Now this is good. No more threats.
All I can say is from what I've seen so far from Alexandra's chess, I think she went into the break and she looked at a few lines and it seems to be paying off so far.
Yeah.
I think this is a good start for her.
I think so too.
Because at the end of the day, I'm cheering for a competitive match. I want things to be decided in the bullet. And if Greg kept winning like that, it looked like it was going to be a blowout. So Alexandra getting on the board there is huge for the match. And with her 15-point handicap, it is now 16-10. So it's heating up. A4, okay, stopping b5 there. Greg did. And if you play bishop, like I guess like bishop to c6, or if you move that bishop off the e6 pawn, better believe Greg is thinking about a sacrifice.
Yep.
Something or other.
Which is hard. So like black in this position, how are you even supposed to improve that? And if you can't even move your bishop, that's already very defensive. And isn't this allowing?
Well, knight c6 I think is pretty fair.
Yeah, no, knight c6 is actually okay.
I still think the bishop on b2 is going to be really strong. Like for example, I don't know, knight takes knight followed by queen g4. Just as an example, make a threat against the pawn on g7. How do you defend that? Whether you're playing e5 or as a sample line, like knight takes, bishop takes, queen g4. Let's say you play like e5, white sacrifices on d6, black takes back, and I can just see something bad happening.
I was going to say, I don't even know if you could take with the bishop because I thought maybe the sack would work, but he didn't take anyway.
He started with queen g4, and I don't know. I'm looking
now we
at
have a beautiful move. Yeah, knight e5 and taking off his bishop pair might.
Yep. Knight e5 definitely looks like that's why I wanted to take the knight first, right? On c6 and then go queen g4.
Yeah, and knight c6, I think she had to take maybe with the queen or the pawn, which is much weaker. But now I think she has the advantage.
Totally agree. Knight e5, I think Greg just sort of forgot for a second. You can see by the camera, he's a little flustered.
Oh, I love Greg's expressions.
I like watching a very, highly emotional chess player.
Yeah, exactly.
Nakamura, Greg, like just guys who are really so passionate that you can see the reaction immediately.
It's always even better when the cam is just their entire face because they're so zoomed into the game.
Yep, knight e5. So he's gonna just have to admit that, the bishop's gonna be taken. And
nice, but we still have to be careful though, because that bishop on b2 and that queen is still a very strong pair.
Absolutely. Now, unfortunately for Greg, he had to move the queen off the g file. He would have loved to kept it.
Yeah, nowhere to go though. Yeah, now that she has a bishop pair, she can control all the important squares. The g3 square, the g4 square, nowhere for the queen to go.
Yeah, after e5, it's interesting. I guess knight f5 is sort of the natural move.
Yeah,
the
knight
new square that's opened up.
Her bishop pair might not be lasting very long.
I think knight f3, there's also a big case for that move. And he might even prefer it just
considering
because
he's also more passive.
Yep, it keeps a little bit more pieces on the board. Yeah, and he does go for that. f6, good move by Alexandra, the move she had to play to defend e5. And Greg is, I figured, he's hoping to get in there.
Yep. But that bishop, I think knight f5 would have been better, trying to force her to trade one of her bishops. Because then...
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So knight f5 is the move now. Like, that's what Greg wants to
Oh my
play.
goodness, she's already
Oh
under
no,
20
knight f5 is
seconds.
winning now. Ugh. Queen f7 was not it.
Oh wow, it's that Botez blind spot, you know.
Yeah,
You don't
this
see
is.
knight h6. Man, that's a killer. But 30 seconds. Wow, she really had this game too. But
Both players are playing really well right now,
yep,
given the position. But unfortunately, the position that we're given is probably
3
one that is winning
seconds.
for Greg. Yeah.
Yep.
Probably a flag. Oh, she gets the move off, but Greg's gonna have no problem taking that rook
Yeah.
and basically going for mate.
Well, yeah, she can't even take back.
No.
Okay, yeah, this is just
checkmate coming.
resignable.
Bishop d4 here. Yep.
She's still going.
Yeah,
right,
so a few more checks.
It's the tactics. It's the tactics.
Now that game was really good for Alexandra, and I think what we noticed is, what I'm noticing is the time is just like disappearing. These guys are in time pressure, like
Before
in the middle game. They're both thinking a lot. They're both thinking a lot.
Yeah. For Alex, that makes her miss a few more tactics. And then for Greg, maybe he plays a little bit more passively than the aggressive move that could give him the advantage.
Yep. Okay, so new opening, and I was waiting for this.
She doesn't play e4, so
yeah,
I know what's gonna happen.
This is a very, very clear flaw in the plan.
It's okay. She'll transpose to a d4.
Hey, whoa, Greg just blundered big time. Wait a minute. Bishop takes f7. Hello?
Oh my god, nobody notices because we don't. Oh my goodness.
Oh, no, this is basic.
Nobody even knows.
I just have to point that. Come on, Alexandra.
Oh my goodness. I mean, to be fair, as a not e4 player, you're probably seen those patterns a lot, but for me, I didn't even spot it in the first few seconds either.
Yeah, it's something to always be on the lookout for when you see an early bishop g4 and your bishop's on c4. It's like, just give it a double check every time.
Yep. Wow, that would have been nice if she would have seen that. But I'm surprised that Greg fell for it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's really weird about that is that Greg is like, hey, you're not an e4 player. And then he blunders a tactic in 3 moves.
Maybe he doesn't play e5 either. Maybe they both don't know their lines here.
That's possible. And I think that might even be the case. But Greg probably said, look, if we both don't know what we're doing, I'm probably better off.
Yep, exactly. Let's see if that holds true.
So Alexandra's got the bishops here, but her bishops need some taking care of here. And queen d1, big fan of that move. What happens after knight c5? Ooh, bishop e3. Yeah, maybe bishop e3, d4. Yeah, I was going to say it's a unfortunately, very likely tactic to fall into. Is there any way out here? I don't think so. You almost have to go like...
This is brutal.
Yeah, this looks pretty rough. This looks a little bit rough here.
Yeah, she just needed a safe move like bishop c2. And even with hammers, I guess she's trying to be tricky, you know, trying to pin the knight. But on this time control, I don't know how much time she has for tricks, especially when Greg is better at tactics.
And Greg just did the equivalent of a mic drop. He took the beanie and just dropped it on the ground.
Yeah, it was like he's giving us a show here.
And this is a hard thing. Is he wearing like an, I don't know, like an Alice in Wonderland tablecloth? Like what's around his neck there? Yeah, it's quite the fashion statement from Greg.
It's a little collared shirt. But you know what I was gonna say is the hard part when you're playing against someone so much higher rated, like 2700, you expect that they don't miss any tactics. So I just feel like it's safer, like, you know, avoid going for tricky moves like bishop e3 and just play safe a nice bishop c2 because they will see it faster than we do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, but there's a lot of people playing Guess the Move on Chess.com, and I see someone rated 400 who's guessed almost all the moves, and I'm not sure that's a good sign.
400. Maybe they just never played.
Either they're not rated 400 or some people in this game are rated 400.
Yeah,
so it's one of the two. It's one of the two.
Wait, where is this Guess the Moves? On Chess.com, right?
In Chess.com in live chess. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So you can play Guess the Move, follow along in live chess.
Cool.
Yep. Rook
Oh,
d8,
yeah,
and that's
there's
just a
the
full extra
observers.
piece. Also a full extra minute for Greg here.
Yep, not our game, but
Doesn't look like it, but she's still in it, and I totally agree with that, given that it's shorter time control, more likely to have some blunders. Botez has got some of a rating back as well, back over 2,100.
yeah, true. See, we were talking about those one by one point, but hey, one win. Look at us. We're back at 21-13.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about the rating at the end.
Exactly.
Queen d5, looking for trades. That's exactly what you want to do when you're up material. And conversely, that's exactly what you want to do when you're down material. Don't trade.
Avoid the trade. Yep.
Yeah, I like queen g4. She's looking to maybe double the rooks, get pawn to b5, kick that knight a little bit.
Yeah, down a piece, but if she could just put him a little, if she could catch up a little bit on time. Oh, this is hard.
I think she has to trade.
Yeah, queen e4 is forced.
That's a strong idea to just play h5. I think maybe
nice move.
Rook to c1 had to happen for Alexandra there.
Yeah. Oh, maybe she's trying to go for. No, she doesn't have a check. She doesn't have a draw though, because
she doesn't have a draw. I mean, she's doing this on purpose, losing the rook.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work, but it's a fun try.
Yeah, I mean, when you're already lost, might as well try with something a little bit more tricky.
Mm-hmm.
But
like if Greg had maybe 20 seconds here,
yeah,
there's a chance you're down a rook, but you're got some chances. But with Greg at a minute and 20 seconds,
exactly,
I don't trust it as much.
Yeah, time really makes all the difference now.
Yeah, and we look at that game or match clock rather. There's 20 minutes left ticking down in the 3+1 portion right now. So the time for still a bunch more games.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that full rook down is hurting here. Although one thing that's kind of funny in chess is it's actually really hard to win a game without a pawn. Really hard to win without. If Greg loses these two pawns, he could be up a rook, but it's just like really hard to win without pawns.
Yeah, I guess like if you defend your king, then you don't give him any mate threat. But they would eventually just find some tactics and win more material.
Yep, but it can be very difficult. You underestimate in this position that like if Black doesn't have those pawns, it's not so easy.
Yeah, very true. But unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna be losing either. All right.
Yep. Yeah, that's good enough there.
Well, now, yeah, and unfortunately, she's never going to get to play that e4, that attack that Hammer prepared again, because now he's going to be playing d5 against e4.
Yep, absolutely. Rook to g6, and basically in this position, I think that he's going to take that bishop. Alexandra was down on time anyway. The score right now is 16-12, and we are coming up to our little halftime break here. Andrea, people get a refresh, but although the last refresh we had, I was like, okay, Alexandra needs this. But in this case, do you think maybe Greg is kind of happy?
I still think the bullet portion, she will pull it off. I have a lot of hope. And, the issue here is still tactics, but if she adjusts to this and instead of going for tricks, plays a little bit safer, could still, she started with a win. 1 win to 2 losses isn't too bad. So I'm still staying very hopeful.
Yep, absolutely. Well, 16-12 is your scoreline, given that 15-point handicap that Alexandra started with. And we're going to take, like I said, our halftime break. So don't go anywhere. We're back with the rest of the 3-minute portion. And then Andrea's favorite, the bullet, happens after that. So we'll be right back after the break. welcome back, everybody, to apparently our very COVID conscious stream, Andrea.
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna make them play better because it's harder to breathe, and sometimes you get a little bit sweaty playing chess. Your heart starts speeding up, but I respect it. We're supporting taking health precautions.
Yep, and Alexandra is the front runner there. She's got the mask on there, fully approved, and Greg is
Oh,
wow,
Greg
he is
too.
matching it.
I'm curious. I'm curious how long they're gonna keep these masks on.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a fun idea. Andrea, how long do you think Alexandra keeps that mask on?
I'm gonna say, okay, if she loses, I think she'll take it off.
So the first game she loses, it comes off.
Yes. What do you
Okay,
think?
and I will say that with 18 minutes left in this 3 minute, 18 19 minutes left in the 3 minute segment, I will say that the mask comes off before 12 minutes left,
Okay. All right. Let's see.
whenever that is.
Let's see who was right. Well, they hopped straight into the games. They're eager. There we go.
Yeah, Greg has got the quick castle, and actually Alexandra is basically playing kind of like a hippo.
I like what she's doing because she remembers that he was winning these fianchetto positions by breaking through her king. So now with h5, she's not even giving him a chance to start pushing h4, g4. Well, he can, but not as
And
aggressive now.
so we get a position where these extremely talented players have all played a5, h4, h5, and Andrea's like, yeah, I love what she's doing.
I know it looks very counterintuitive. You're taught pawns in the center, develop knights and bishops before you push
Yeah.
side pawns. But sometimes, especially of course when you're playing 3 minutes, you might go a little bit astray from the opening basics, but they might pay off.
Yep. No, that's certainly the case that in 3 minutes, and then even more so in 1 minute chess, that a lot of the principles that you might follow, poof out the window a lot of the time.
Yeah,
So
of
very
course.
very relatable.
Like just sacking a piece just to make them think. And I'm sure we'll be seeing some of those. But so how do you think this is going to pay off for Alex trying this h5 a5?
Um, I'll be honest, no.
No,
I
I'll
don't
take
think
the other
so.
side. I'll say
Okay,
yes.
perfect. We have a good bet going on there.
Yeah, might as well start gambling. Just kidding, just kidding. We don't gamble.
Yeah. Haha, no, none of that.
Nope, just in video games.
Yep, just video games and masks on, everybody, good stuff.
Yes, they're still got the
F4.
mask on.
They do, yeah. Greg is looking a lot more somehow comfortable in his than Alexander.
Yeah, I know. Alex looks like she's about to go into a medical center or something. So serious.
Yeah, very serious. Greg's looked like, the one that he might
Greg's
wear to the
chilling.
gym. Yeah, he's chilling.
Exactly. He's going to the mall. He's picking up some things, looking fashionable in his cute mask. Alex is here to murder
Yeah,
and for the wins.
and with knight b4 and knight takes d3, I think Alexandra should be happy with what just
Yeah,
happened.
I'm definitely a fan of it. I mean, Hammer is a fan of it. And luckily, I always like this when things are getting blocked up in the center and you can castle safely. It's giving a
Yeah.
lot of time to finally have time to attack his king side.
And one thing that Greg, I don't think will almost ever do in this game is play the move e5. But I wanted to point it out. That's something that Alexandra is like dying to see. She really wants to
Yeah.
encourage e5 so her knight could jump to the f5 square.
Exactly. Although sometimes e5 can be really annoying because it's going to be hard to develop your dark squared bishop and it's completely trapped in. So at some point it might come in handy. But there are bishop maneuvers on the f8 square and other ideas.
Yeah, and I think Alexandra is probably looking to launch like b5, b4, and meanwhile, Greg is looking to play g4, which is why he just brought the queen to e2.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think there's a piece she can bring to defend it.
No, one thing, I don't know if it's as good enough, but one thing is that after b5, b4, the knight is actually trapped at the moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say an interesting idea maybe was like queen d6, so g4 push f6 and the knight can't take, and then she always has bishop e8 if she needs to defend.
Yeah, bishop on e8 is actually a very cool resource. It guards all those important light squares from
Mm-hmm.
the back row.
Yeah, I don't like her time though. I'm not happy about this. 30 seconds and she's fixing her hair on her time. No, no, no. This is not how we take care of our time.
Right. Okay, now gotta be careful here, especially
She
with time
traded
ticking
those
down.
double pawns, which may have been better to keep the position closed and play slowly when she's down a minute, but
Yeah, basically, okay, I'm not sure about bishop d2. I definitely disagree with that. I think he should have taken the bishop and just moved the knight off the last
yeah, now
row.
her bishop is a monster. Now it might actually pay off that she opened it up.
Yep, and if Greg ever plays e5, it will hit the bishop and block it, but it gives away those squares we've been talking about.
I think she has a great position, but with 14 seconds and 1 second increment, she has to be pre-moving almost everything. It's still the middle game, and she has almost 10 seconds.
Yep, you might say, oh, Alex has this game. She just has to play fast, but that is so hard to do.
She can start trying some safe pre-moves, but they'll just get punished.
Maybe.
Man,
the
speed. Yeah, now she can start pre-moving some trades, maybe.
Yep, get that pre-move in on D3.
I don't think he'll take though. I don't know if he will.
Yep, king A1,
yep.
Totally reasonable.
7 seconds. Oh man. I know she could hold this position, but the time was so bad.
Very good move, knight d4. The king is always back rank issues on A1.
All right, we're gonna see how well she can play just 1 second per move.
She has a great chance here, in my opinion.
Yes.
Great chance. Greg is gonna look to be tricky here. He's down a pawn, and even if he wasn't down a pawn, his position's not good. That king is vulnerable.
All right.
Okay, I
like that move. It was a blunder, but I don't know why that move was a blunder. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it probably has to do with this because rook takes f7 is going to lead to a checkmate.
Oh, wow.
So she does this, and there's knight takes e6 here with check. So that's probably why. But
I
agree. It looked energetic.
It looked okay, but wow. Oh my goodness. But it's the time, man. So you take the mask off? I was right.
And I was also right.
You were right about the pawns up. Well, actually, I think she got into a good position, so maybe the pawns helped her, but the time was the main factor.
I was right about that, but I mean, I said it would be taken off before 12 minutes.
True. So we're both right. We're both right.
I think we both had a feeling that mask was coming straight off.
We're both in the right for both of the bets. Whether the pawn structure was good and whether the mask would come off.
Yeah.
What Greg is leaving is on.
We're getting all the wins out here. Alexandra needs to be getting these, not us.
Yeah, true. We need to pass on some of our luck, our good intuition.
Ooh, his mask is off too. Maybe he saw Alexandra and he was like, oh no, I got to match.
I think Greg just likes matching. He's a showman, you know, what looks best for the stream.
Yeah. Guys, calm yourselves. This is not strip chess. Those are just masks. Okay, they're taking off masks. That's all.
Oh my. All right, let's see here.
What is this opening? Grunfeld. This is new, right? We haven't seen this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Did we prepare the Grunfeld? I don't know if we did. I don't think we did.
I don't know if we did either.
Yeah, true. Nobody knows, so let's find out. But she has to be learning from that speed.
Well, what we see here is a big thing from Alexandra already in the opening. Bishop b5 check. I'm guessing she's going to take that.
That's forced to take. And yeah. Why can't she just play a move like knight f3, defending everything?
Absolutely, she can. Absolutely.
I feel like she's spending too much time looking for tricks again when she should be playing the natural moves.
One thing about knight f3, so like let's say takes, knight takes. If you go knight f3, I guess Greg might take on d4. And if you have to take with the pawn, it's a fine position. But it is a weakness, exactly. It is a weakness.
Yeah, sometimes the isolated pawn can be, I always learn it's either strength or weakness, because sometimes it's not very, if you can defend it, it can end up being quite strong. But
yep. she also had to double check that she wasn't losing a bishop to queen e4 check.
Yep.
She would have bishop e3, and now she's castled. So look, it might be a weakness, might not be the best. I think Greg is happy with his position, but
Yes.
she's out of the opening. She's not like, at 30 seconds. I
Well,
think
she's
this is
getting
fine for
down a
Alexandra.
minute. We need to
I
see the
know,
speed. We need to, if I was there, I'd be like, speed, speed, speed. I'd be telling her, reminding her, but
yeah, that's what you need. You need a good buddy, a good wingman, wingwoman
exactly.
beside you, just to help you out and remind you.
Exactly. All right. Yeah,
Queen
it's still a
d2.
pretty comfortable position. Like, she has isolated pawn. I guess he's probably gonna bring like a rook d8, but
Yep. So I
it's
like
pretty
bishop h6 as a move. Trade off
bishop
that bishop.
h6.
Try to get the queen out
Ooh.
there as well.
That is a very nice idea. I feel like it's kind of hard to find. I don't think she'd see it.
b3, nice, covering c4. So here I want to avoid trades if I'm white. Endgame,
Oh.
good for Greg. Very
So
good
then
for Greg.
why were you suggesting bishop h6 if you want to avoid trades?
I should say I want to avoid major piece trades. It's a better
Okay,
clarification.
So queens and rooks,
So
gotcha.
queens and rooks I'd like to keep on the board.
So this trade, it might actually be good for her then.
Yep, I like it.
Yeah, I definitely like it because now the dark squares around the king are weak and her queen is easily set up, and so is her knight. So she might have an attacking plan. There it goes. There we go.
Yeah, I think she might have just jumped in with that queen a little bit early. I would like to see the rooks build up, maybe double. I'd also really like to see h4, h5. I'd like to push that pawn up the board.
Yep. I think here with down a minute, she has to go for the natural moves. That would be a very nice plan, though.
So I'd like to move the queen and play h4, h5. That's basically my plan.
I wonder, I think she'll find it, maybe. She normally finds those type of plans, especially because she knows in time pressure, you just need to find a way to create another attack. So she uses that plan a lot.
And, rook c2 would be a funny blunder here, dropping a whole rook on d8, but he's not going to do that.
Nope, he doesn't. Greg never misses the tactics, except that one beginner bishop g4 one.
He never misses them, except when he does.
Yeah, except once.
Knight h2, so aggressive idea. Knight g4, looking to attack those squares. And sometimes after knight g4, you can even sack on d5 with the rook and, use the dark squares.
Yeah, and try to fork. But he's preventing it right away.
Yep. And he's looking to play rook c to d8 and attack the d4 pawn. Rook b5, I really don't like that move. It's just you attack a pawn, it gets defended. Yeah. What did you really do there?
Exactly. I think maybe she should try I guess that moving the h pawn plan doesn't work anymore because of the knight on f6. So she couldn't have even played queen g3 and h4.
So knight d5 here, it's just such a funny move because now the rook on b5 is literally trapped. It's just not in the game. a6 is going to win the rook. Alexandra's rook b5 was completely
A5?
The wrong idea. Yeah, a5, and then let's say if a6, you technically lose your rook.
Yeah, a5, but at least she could sack for the knight and try to win the pawn.
Yep. She should take on b6 here, just to be tricky. He could
because he can't take back, true.
He should just move the rook to b8, and then I think
she's down a minute again. I think if he had equal time, she could probably swindle, but this 1 minute, oh my, it's happening again.
Yep.
She's thinking so much. It's just the pawn. We don't have time.
Yeah, unfortunately her queen ended up on h4, which blocked her big plan of h4, h5.
Yeah, exactly. And now that the knight was gone, that plan would have been very useful.
So move the rook up maybe, rook e4. Rook e4, rook f4, rook h4. Unfortunately, knight g5 doesn't really make any threats. Rook e4. King h2, I like that as well. Just don't allow any trades.
Oh my goodness, these 2 seconds.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And there goes it's so rough. Yeah. I'm curious where she's losing all her time. It seems to be in the middle game, but every game she ends up being, and I do it so much myself as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely in the opening, the middle game.
It is very early on, and that's where it creeps up on you. You don't even notice it sometimes.
Till the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait.
I'm down a whole minute. Yep, that always happens to me.
Well, whenever I'm streaming, I like to blame the chat. You know, I
I
was
always blame the
distracted.
chat.
Always blame the
You
chat. But
either
hang on.
blame your partner or the chat. It's never your fault for losing on time. It's always someone else's
Never.
fault for distracting you. But
Never.
unfortunately, Alex doesn't have anyone to blame on this round.
Yeah, unfortunately, the camera's on, but she's not exactly streaming, so it doesn't count.
She'd blame me if I was there.
And I can see Greg's got the reflection of the board in his glasses, so I'm just trying to study the position through them. Yeah.
That's interesting.
What do we have here? Another isolated pawn for Alexandra, but I recognize this. I'm pretty sure this is more or less theory.
She's getting faster. She's finally playing the first 10 moves quicker.
Yep, she knows this position. I can tell just from the speed with which
she knows her French for sure.
Yep. And now maybe knight e3. Yeah, hitting the pawn on d5, getting active there. Also maybe intending knight f5, hitting the g7 pawn and the bishop on e7, which I think Greg would be happy to capture.
Yeah.
And the amount of time left in the 3-minute portion is just around 4 minutes now, Andrea. So it could be the last game right here. It
probably is the last game in that case.
Yep. But in case they finish with 10 seconds left and they start a new one, it will count.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, but I don't think, I mean, let's say one of them, Alex gets down to last seconds, that'll be 3 minutes, and Greg will definitely spend more than a minute on the game. So I think it'll be the last one. But I really hope Alex can maybe pull, she's off to a better start. Maybe she can end on a win, go into the bullet portion feeling better.
Yep, absolutely. C3 by Greg. Now, Alexandra's position is not bad, but it's just one of those isolated pawn positions where it's easy to get into this funk of like, I don't really know what to do. And then you start overthinking it. And all she needs to do is, for example, the move she did, that's fine. Knight e6, that's a good move. Just need more of that. She's got to have more confidence.
Yeah, I feel like she does just have some pawn weaknesses, like the b7 pawn, and her pawns aren't very connected.
So bishop e5, threat, d5 pawn, and she's meeting that with an active response, bishop c5, saying, look, you can't take that because then f2 is hit as a result.
That's a nice move. I like bishop c5. These positions are very difficult. Yeah, you just have to play slowly, I think, here. Just slow, improving moves. I don't even know here what she should do. Maybe it's like rook e8 and wait.
Yeah, rook e8, I think is a fine move. I don't know, b6, queen d7.
Oh, but she wants to be aggressive. Okay.
Yep, she's hitting f2, but if the knight takes on e6, she has no problem like taking back with the pawn as a general thing.
Connecting her pawns and solving her isolated pawn issue.
Yep.
Okay, absolutely. I don't think g3 was a good choice for him. You know, we talked about it a few times. Dark squared bishop. Don't want to put your pawns there.
Okay, and queen hits the bishop.
But maybe it's a strength. Okay.
Okay, now after f4, I think that she's basically got queen g6 as a main option, or queen all the way back to d8.
This one is a one-move fork.
It is a one-move fork. I don't know
how we missed this one. What?
After f5, I think there's queen g5 to like sort of stay in the game.
Bishop?
Yeah.
But I don't think we can.
I think h4 after queen g5 is the killer move. Yeah, I think it's h4.
Yep, and now the queen is almost has to go back to e7.
Yeah, now that
if she keeps speed though, it's just a pawn for a knight. If she plays this faster, like here, she obviously has no other squares in e7, so she should play it quickly and keep her time advantage.
Yeah.
I mean,
and now
not her
knight
advantage,
takes d5 is what Greg is thinking about, but he's just going to take the piece, and I think go queen g4 afterwards. Queen g4 hits e6, hits g7.
Oh, I don't know why she didn't take. Because queen g4, I guess there's not many ways to defend the pawn otherwise in trade.
Yeah, I think she's intending g5 here, or I hope she is, because it sort of looked like that was her plan to just trap the bishop, but unfortunately,
g5,
like there's knight
queen g4.
Yeah, there's queen g4, there's knight takes d5, there's knight f5, there's like a lot of knight jumps you gotta.
Yeah, I thought taking on e6 was pretty important to defend that d5 pawn.
And well, there's 24 seconds left.
Oh, well, we might have time for...
It really depends. Alexandra's got 13.3. There's 16 seconds left. Ticking down, ticking down. 6 seconds.
I don't
5,
think
4.
she'll resign in the next 16 seconds.
No. Okay, so there's gonna be no more games. This is gonna be the last.
I mean, I don't...
3-minute game.
Yeah, we're running out. Oh,
May as well end with a...
is she gonna resign after this? She gonna resign or is she gonna play on?
She's gonna let out a little smirk. No, time is up already.
Time's up. Oh, that was so close.
So we started the 5-minute portion with the Botez Gambit, and we ended the 3-minute.
All style points, just for style.
Now, in her defense, I will point out that the bishop was on c5 the whole game, pinning the knight, and I think she just forgot at the very end. She moved it to d6, and that's why she played queen e6. But hey, there's no excuses for Botez Gambit.
Yeah.
There's no excuses.
You know, it's gonna be her time to swindle. I'm telling you. The bullet portion, she's gonna shine. I know it. I hope.
Okay, well, you heard it here first, guys, from one Botez speaking about another. She's gonna shine in the bullet. The score is currently 16 points for Alexandra Botez. She started with 15 points handicap. She got a win in. That was a big momentum shift. She needed that to make this close. She's up by 1 against.
She's still leading, though.
Yes, exactly. She's in the lead.
1 point.
Team Alexandra. And after this, we get into the very exciting bullet portion. 1 minute chess, 1 minute for the whole game, plus 1 second increment per move. So we will be back with that very exciting format to determine the winner here in this match between Alexandra Botez and Greg Shahade. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, everyone who was here before the break is still here and ready for the bullet portion. But before we get into that, I just wanted to remind everybody that Chess.com Puzzle Week, which I was reminding Andrea about, might be a good idea for Alexandra, is
Yeah,
starting.
definitely. Honestly, for the both of us.
Well, boy, do I have the thing for you, Andrea. January 4th to 8th is going to be Puzzle Week on Chess.com. For those that are basically in vacation mode and have no idea what day it is, that is tomorrow. So mark your calendars. There's basically going to be all sorts of different versions of the Chess.com puzzles. There's tactics, there's Puzzle Rush, there's so many different ways to do puzzles on Chess.com, survival mode, etc. And over the 5 days, there's going to be different formats featured. There's going to be your favorite commentators, such as Danny Wrench, Bigfoot, who's been commentating a lot for Chess.com, and the one and only Maurice Ashley. So you can see there just some of your favorite streamers on screen. There's going to be lots more, but just be sort of like a fun week, Andrea, with good puzzles for everyone and practice that honestly we all need.
Yeah, you can watch with them and train with them at the same time.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. That's starting tomorrow. But right now we have
They're
something else
changing
going
every
on.
scene, every round.
Look at that. The outfit changes, and it looks like Greg for the 1 minute section, he is ready to do
That
some.
makes sense. This is going to be the most difficult workout of the entire match. So you got to get in your right workout gear.
Yeah. Oh, Greg is looking D's right there, and we're into it. 1 minute plus 1 second.
All of his CrossFit training just for this bullet match.
Yeah, is that a shoulder or bicep?
I know. Who knows?
Jeez, Greg,
See, Alex will get those.
2,500.
All right, and it's begun. The speed is coming strong. Let's see.
Yeah, and I already like Alexandra's opening just because I don't see any issue with it. This is all she needs. Yes,
this is all
good.
she needs. We have this isolated pawn game after game, but maybe it's not going to be a weakness in this game. The bishop e3 is very interesting. I don't know if it's good to allow him to take, but I guess I would solve the isolated pawn.
Yep, and you guys can see just by the ratings featured on screen, the bullet section is going to be a lot closer. Exactly, as indicated here, 23-77, 25-22.
Yeah, which if there wasn't a 1 point difference, like it could have been very equal, but with almost equal odds, it's still a little bit rough. But Alex is very quick, so maybe the underdog will pull through.
Yeah, Queen b6 check, looking to take on b2.
Yeah, here Greg's tactics will definitely be shining through also.
So I think that it's really risky to take this pawn. Not only is d6 in the cards, but there's rook b1, and after rook b1, the queen has to take on a3, and then there's like knight d5. Wow. Exactly. So I kind of like this.
Yeah, I totally underestimated the pawn of the strength of that passed pawn. I wonder if knight e7 would just be a draw, giving the queen for the 2 rooks.
Okay, and there is going to be queen d4. Now I think she wants knight e7 here.
Yeah, that's why she tried to block this file. Yep. And he can't take. There goes his rook, so he's just going to leave the knight there.
And I think she's going to take that back. Yep. She's got a strong d-pawn, but she has to watch out for dark squares. Bishop f4. That's true. Bishop
f4 and queen g3.
Mm-hmm. She's got to move the king.
There you go. Good. No, queen g1, much better than king, I think.
Okay, I'm a little concerned. Rook to b1 is what Greg wants.
She's going to continue defending.
Push the pawn.
Very quick. And she does have a little bit of a time edge, which never really happened so far. So, wow, now this is looking very promising.
Yep. Now, I think she should take the rook and then solve her queen. Like her queen being on g1, she can't move it. It's a non-participant.
There we go. I was going to say, I wonder if she could grab that a7 pawn. She did.
Yep.
Nice.
This is good.
Because now everything around her king is defended. That bishop is holding it all together. Black doesn't have any threats.
Yep, and the black bishop is stuck on don't let Alexandra get a queen duty on.
Yes, exactly. It's acting like a pawn.
This, however, I think queen e7 is going to be played. Yeah, so this bishop.
No, we're going to lose our main strength, the passed pawn, and she's spending her time okay. It's okay. There's another one.
Yeah, we got another one.
We'll just replace them.
Yep. Unfortunately, if she loses that, then it really is going to be a tough
She's bringing in
grind.
the bishop.
C4.
Trying to. She's keeping
Yep.
the pressure on f7. Very important.
Yep.
She should just go back and forth because I don't think he would want the draw. She just went back to b5.
Oh, she blundered her bishop. She forgot that the queen and rook were both
man.
Yeah.
She's doing so well. It's just these little blunders.
But let's be clear, Alexandra in this bullet portion is going to be way more competitive. Like this is going to be very close, I think.
As we can see.
Yep.
And even here, I don't know. Well, no, okay, this one's over now. Never mind.
Yeah, the best you could hope for is some sort of stalemate, but
yeah,
don't see it happening.
Yep. Well, I thought she should have just went back to b5 instead of bringing her queen down after that rook attack. Try to repeat moves to save her time.
Right. And is he finally going to move that pawn up the board? Oh, queen f4.
He's struggling to get to the checkmate.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. He seems a little scared of the time ticking down. He's like always making a move to get more time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. All right, she resigned. Yeah. I guess queen check and e2 was coming.
So that's only game one. It's 16 all right now.
All right,
now it really starts.
Yes.
Now it really starts. Here we go. Greg with the white pieces. Alexandra going for the fianchetto, King's Indian style.
I liked a lot how she played that last game, but of course she is more likely to blunder than Greg. So, and blunders, Bullet is known for that.
Yep. And this is going to be a position where I think he's going to take the knight with the bishop on g5 and then reroute this knight the long way to like e1, c2, e3, d5, something like that.
Interesting. You don't think, is he going to occupy the d5 squares with his knight?
I think that's the plan. I was going to say he's probably going to toss in b4 on the way to that idea. But yeah, I think eventually ending up on d5 is the plan.
Yep. Now the two knights are strong, defending each other. Yeah, these positions, I always try to keep the light square diagonal blocked. Because as soon as you open it up, white's g2 bishop is just too strong while ours is still locked in by e5.
Yeah, so this move a6, I don't think Alexandra needed to play it at all. Like, I don't think there's any need. I think she should go on the other side, f5. Like
f5, yeah.
Use your bishops over there.
Yes, I think, a6, you wanted to stop knight b5. Knight b5, would you try to trade your bishop for the knight or just continue defending?
I'd try to defend. If I could do it, I would always try to not give up my light square bishop where possible.
Yeah, that's why I kind of understand a6 because just allowing that knight b5 looks like you're giving them space, but that would have also stopped rook b6.
D3 is threatened. There's a one move attack. Bishop on c6 is super solid right here, by the way, guarding everything. She kind of had this in her last game with the bishop on f3.
Yes.
So this is good. We need to see more kingside pressure.
Good.
F5,
back
H5.
And forth, but that's solid strategy here.
I think she wanted to play f5, and she was like, "Wait, my queen's on f5."
Yeah, exactly.
Let me move that out of the way.
But now, see, going back and forth might make him make some mistakes because trading the bishop should be a little bit better for her, and that knight is also cutting off his rook. So I think her going back and forth may be inclined him to play a little bit weaker.
Yeah, this is fine for Alexandra. She's getting in. I knew that he was going to sack there.
Right.
Why did he do that? Because it's bullet. It is bullet.
Very true. And she's half his time, and there's the tactics.
There's the rook right back.
Yep, and now he's up a pawn. Okay. Well.
Now, this is.
And now they're gonna take on a6. This is very rough. She could try f4, some bullet tricks, but there's not much there going.
You really know your sister. Yeah, she could try this nonsense f4. Yep, there it is.
Just to give a check and hope he messes and misses something. That's the bullet strategy.
But we know Greg is a bit more of a defensive passive player. When he sees the queen on f5, he plays f3.
The eval bar just jumped. Oh my goodness, take the rook. Queen takes b8 and queen check, and there's a draw. Oh my god, did she mouse slip? She mouse slipped. Oh no, she dropped her rook. And then her queen. Everything. You know what? We blame this on the mouse. This wasn't. Oh wow, they're eager to go again. All right. That was really upsetting. She had a draw, but that's bullet. There's gonna be mouse slips.
Oh man. So I don't think it was a draw like a perpetual check force, but it was
Oh, just before
her
the
queen
end
was gonna,
game.
yeah, her queen was gonna get in there, and
Gotcha.
the threat of perpetual, I think it was dead even, as you
Oh,
said.
man, she was so close. Man,
Wow.
the one time she finally sees a tactic, he doesn't. The mouse slip.
Yeah, so
Not
as you
fair.
can
It's a
see,
cruel world.
Alexandra has her chances. Greg, even when he's so up, even
Yes,
when the F4 like bullet trick, it worked, right? It did its
anything
job.
can happen in Bullet. It's a world of
Alexandra needs to focus up.
opportunity.
Yep.
Yes. It's the so far the first two games are very, very close.
And another Botez gambit, right when she had the perpetual maybe, or the pawns
Yeah.
hanging. It's like, oh, the
I mean, I
worst.
think after Black took the rook and she didn't give the check, it was already a win. So, that Botez gambit was just another style point because she already knew it was lost.
And I hope she's not thinking about that as much as I am. I'm still thinking about the last game, so I hope she's forgotten
I'm
it,
not.
focused on
We
the
move
next one.
on. We drop a queen, you forget about it. There's just normal life around here. I already
Yeah, I
forgot
gotta keep
about
that
it.
in mind. I gotta keep that in
We're
mind.
pretty used to that.
Okay, so D3 hanging. Alexandra also down about 15, 16 seconds. Like, that's quite
Yeah,
meaningful.
because he has the attack here. Uh, it's interesting though, because it's a blocked position where both players have the bishops, which don't do well in blocked positions. So, but this pawn structure of whites, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, so I think, ooh, I was gonna say, I thought she was gonna take the bishop and go bishop takes F5, like sack the rook for the
Oh,
bishop,
that was a very nice tactic.
and then take on F5. But because she didn't do that, that bishop on E4 is
It's like,
insanely
yep,
strong.
he got his bishop outside of the pawns, the most important thing here.
Yep. Oof, this looks tough. As soon as the rook like gets down to C2 and the queen gets in, it could be over very quick. But Alexandra on the
She's trying to
attack.
trade,
Yep.
keeping pressure. Nice. Maybe she could try like rook C1. And then he's
D6 is
gonna bring
always,
his. Oh
yep.
yeah.
She's looking at D6, or maybe rook to F1, get over to make some threats.
10 seconds.
Rook F1, there's maybe bishop F6. She needs to
Oh
make
my
a move.
goodness. Oh, is she gonna flag?
Ah, what the?
She mouse slipped again. A drum. Okay, this one we do not forget. Okay.
That's like
I need to go give her
four,
my mouse. I don't know which.
five
I think we have the
queens.
same mouse. I don't know where. Oh my goodness.
Oh
Two mouse
no.
slips in a row. But I mean, luckily, okay, actually, the last mouse slip did throw the game, but this one didn't. So it's not as devastating, but
One of the tough things about being known for Botez gambits is that when you really do actually mouse slip, people are like, yeah, okay,
yeah,
haha, sure.
exactly. But no,
Just another Botez gambit. Nice
I feel
try.
like that one. Well, sometimes I don't see him when she plays him, but that one, since I saw it at the same time, I know it was a mouse slip. But we
Yeah.
will like be playing a game, and we'll be playing a team match and not even realize we're hanging our queen together. So just another sister strength.
Yep, just remember, as long as you're on the same page, it might not be a good page, but you're on the same
Yeah,
one together.
exactly. All right.
Okay.
He's trying new things every game, which it's definitely for the better since he was crushing us in the opening lines we did know.
Yep, and in bullet, that's exactly the way you want to do things. Right now, she's trying to basically toss the G pawn off the board as her last
Yeah,
moves have
it's
prepared.
very interesting. I like the more aggressive idea here. But he is a very good defender, so.
Okay, so rook H1, defending, queen C6, looking for G4, and I think he's going to take that pawn. Yeah.
Yep, he has to. And now knight takes. He could probably take the pawn, and taking on F3 isn't a threat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. No need to spend too much time on this.
Well, knight takes G5, rook takes H5. I guess she's
She has
not
to
too
trade.
happy with that. Okay, so she takes with the rook.
Ooh. Oh, I think we blundered now.
Well, I mean, rook G6 or knight F6 are both fine. I think he's got a better position,
Okay.
but it is still playable.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't a blunder.
Rook
Have
back
to
to
move the rook.
G6.
Okay, actually, maybe her trickery line was actually better.
Mm-hmm.
I thought our rook would be too misplaced, but it's not too bad. He's not taking that pawn.
H4. I like H4 in general.
Yep, better than giving it for free with no counterplay.
Definitely. Take it. Open up the G file.
Yes.
Take
Come on.
it. Yeah.
8 seconds. We need speed.
I think she's doing fine here.
Yep,
She's down a
she
pawn,
is.
but she's very okay.
Just the time.
I would make sure to play a move like King B8 or whoa, D8.
Or D8 and be more aggressive.
I'm not
4
a fan
seconds.
of King B8.
Yeah, it's gonna get checked, and I bet you will cause a flag maybe.
Queen G5 is a fantastic move. Queen takes H5, Rook G8. That's a tactics trainer for you. She knows it too. That is a tactic. Rook G8. That's exactly what you'll find in Puzzle Week starting tomorrow.
Yes, it is. Man, these games are close, but she's still a bit too slow. He's getting still too much of a time advantage in the beginning.
Yeah, the thing is, all of these are close, but who's getting them at the end? That's what we have to remind ourselves.
That's exactly the type of rating difference. Like you can play so equal, and then just those last 10 moves are gonna crush you, and that's where their experience shows off.
Yep. So I think here you could consider taking on B2 and then Queen B4 check and win the knight back on C5.
That was an interesting line.
Yeah,
I think they're both not playing their usual openings.
Yeah, Greg's just going for safe. He's got 2 bishops. He's saying, look, I just develop. Nothing can go wrong here.
But it's also easy to play on White's part. He does have the bishop pair, though.
Yeah, A6. I mean, Greg is a little bit better here. Bishops are good. Center is a big center, but definitely not a bad position for Alexandra at all.
Yes, bishop E2, nice, trying to push C4.
Yep,
or F4, even better.
Okay, so F4 creates some weaknesses. She's got to take that knight, or she should.
Now we don't have C4 anymore. I don't know. But I guess she has the D file, maybe push E4, unless he stops it.
He
doesn't allow anything. No, he sees my ideas way quicker than me. By the time I notice them, he already knows how to stop them.
King F2. Okay, or rook there. I think king does need to go to F2 though. Got to trade the rooks.
I mean, we're equal on time, so.
Oh no, this is a position I think Alexandra can win. It's just put that knight on D4. She's done it. And now you realize like it's not easy at all to break through with the bishops. I think Alexandra can improve her king, move the knight from G3, maybe play H3, G4.
H3, G4, I like it.
No, I think she can do well in this position. Knights are really nice to play with.
Siri went off. She always
She's looking to participate as well.
Yeah, she wants to play. I mean, with AI and chess, Siri might just be the next big chess player. Oh.
Greg's rerouting. I think she needs to leave her king on F2, H3, G4.
There we go, king F2.
Okay, H3.
H3, G4. Is she gonna do it? Oh my goodness. No, she doesn't see the plan. I think she's trying to occupy the holes or something. She doesn't really know what to do. Like maybe. And she's going back and forth, which is fine as long as she's not wasting too much time.
Okay, now.
So not the plan you wanted, but it's a solid plan because the dark square bishop can't really get in and attack that B2 pawn. So she's got to keep this closed.
Okay, so she's just turtling. She's saying, "Look,
this is a good strat. I respect the turtle, but yeah, he has that file again. We don't have rook H1. Oh my goodness! No! Knight F3.
Knight F3 is a good move, actually. That is a good one. G4, thank you.
Okay, she got out of it. I don't think you should have taken on B4. Should have taken on G3.
Yeah, I think black should have taken on G3. Didn't happen. Okay, take that back.
Knight C3, I like it. She's coming out of the darkness, but 2 seconds. Oh my goodness.
There's Knight A4 as well. Knight A4
yes,
check.
She could pre-move.
Knight A4.
Knight A4 and Knight C5 would have been a nice pre-move, gaining 2 seconds.
Take on F7.
Yes, there's the rook. Yes. Okay.
Play fast.
There we go. We just need speed. Take it home. Take the win. Oh, but he has the password.
Let's go.
The password doesn't matter.
Get the knights back. Yes. Take something. Yes.
Safe.
King D1. King D1. Yes. King. There we go.
Take the pawn. He dropped the bishop
she's got it.
She's got it. Gobbling it all up. Finally, a bullet win. We knew she had it. She just needed to break through. Nice. And, hey, look at those juicy points. Greg's losing quite a lot of rating. If he loses 2 more, he would go underneath 2,500.
Well, that's a big win for Alexandra. 19 to 17.
That is a big win.
Now, Andrea, let's also remember this match is getting close, but look at the time left.
How much time do we have left?
6.5 minutes.
Wow. 2, if she could win 2 in a row.
Yep.
That'd be fantastic. But yeah, 16 minutes is not much. But with Bullet, that's plenty of games.
Yes, 6 minutes,
8
not
games.
16.
Oh, sorry, 6 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, so that is not a lot of games.
I thought you said 16.
No, so there's 6 minutes left.
Never mind. Yeah. It's okay. We have time for 2 wins.
Yep, she's got exactly that, and she needs to do exactly that.
Come on, just win the 2. Well, at least it's competitive, It's close.
Okay, and I don't mind this. You know what happened last time with that open file? It kind of worked out. B4, I don't mind this for Alexandra. Basically, when Alexandra is attacking Greg, I always think she's going to do a bit better.
I agree for sure.
H5.
He is a very strong defender, but it's much better than her defending.
Yep. Rook G8 threatens knight H4.
Yeah, I think safe castle is a good idea here, just to avoid. As long as she's keeping her time, which is giving me lots of hope.
Yep, I really like when she's attacking, she's getting good positions.
Yes.
Good positions. I like that move. Knight H4 threat, H5. Go.
H5, let's go. Looking good.
She's got
H5,
a very good
H4.
position here.
Yes.
Now, if H4, I think he's going to go G4.
Ooh.
Queen H3, I'm fine with that move. Aggressive.
Ooh, now queen trade and take F5 with the knight.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Attacking the pawns.
This is very good.
I thought she had something really good there. I thought she had a tactic or something.
I don't mind F6. B4 is hanging here as well. She's also got just doubling the rooks.
Solid. Yep. And that knight is very strong. There's no
really good play by Alexandra.
Doubling the rooks. It's looking good.
Knight back.
Probably going to bring the rook back to G1 here. I was wondering here if she could play knight H3.
Yep, knight H3, you're right.
She missed
a very good tactic.
Knight H3 would have been fantastic, attacking both the rooks, forcing rook to F1. And then she could have brought rook. Oh, that would have been rook G2, would have just won the game. It's okay.
Take it back. She's still got a great position.
Yes,
she just has to activate her king. She's up on time.
Yeah.
This is good.
It's going to be close.
Rook
it's going to keep the audience on the edge of their seats.
I think you can take on
E4.
E4.
She can take on E4 because we're not worried about the pin because we have knight C3.
Knight
or even
D2.
Knight check. Knight check doesn't work. No.
Well, if knight D2, then knight check.
Yeah. True. See, he's thinking. He's getting down. He's going down 10 seconds.
Alexandra.
Activate the king maybe, or she wants to trade even. Well, has the file, but let's speed up the pawns.
Yeah, I like that move. This is good.
She's gonna take on C4.
Good. She can grab the pawn. She's trying to use the knight to grab all the pawns.
Makes sense because the rook is important on F4, holding the king there.
And Greg's gonna go A5 next, but she's playing this really well.
She's
playing this really well. Gotta watch the H pawn.
Oh, this is so nice. One more pawn. Okay, yeah, she does have to watch the H pawn for sure. Ooh, king H3.
She needs the knight. Knight in. Bring the knight in.
Yeah, because the rook doesn't have really enough time to get behind the pawn. Or does it?
Knight in. There we go.
All right.
So she's winning here.
She has 4 seconds though. She has 4 seconds. I don't know. Where's my plug?
Run the pawn. Nice.
Good. And now the rook can come to H4. Beautiful.
She hung her knight. That's okay. She still has chances. King
up.
Don't
need it. Have enough pawns to win. But 1 second. Oh my God. She's so close to flagging. Okay. She's back to 3.
Rook back.
Oh God. The time is making me so nervous.
Oh my gosh. There's rook H3 check. Oh, before it won the knight.
No. It's a draw now.
Take the knight. Oh no.
Take the knight. 5 seconds. Oh no.
Take the knight.
Oh my God. She took knight and then check and then promoted the queen, but it's too late.
Oh my goodness. Check again.
Happen? I don't know what's gonna happen.
He's gonna take a draw or something.
No.
She's probably still winning or something.
Yeah.
She has a lot of pawns.
Oh gosh.
B4. It's mate in 2. B4. No. It was mate in 2.
Oh man. Oh no. Okay. It's still not over. It's still tied. Looks tied. Is she gonna be able to mate him? King C3. Very nice. Knight D5. He has
B3. Yes.
95 or 94.
B2. King B3. Ooh, this is a draw, but she shouldn't take it technically with the
Oh,
match.
yeah. No,
She
he's going to
shouldn't.
go for it.
Rook
She's going to go
A2.
for a trick. She has to. Dang,
So
it's so
I think
close.
that means she's gonna lose the match, even though it was a
Just by
tremendous
1
game
point. That's
and a
insane.
good
Just because
result.
there's not enough time. Wow.
Yeah.
But, even being 1 point away is a pretty strong finish.
Wow. Wow. That game, guys, I mean, you saw
That was a great game.
Andrea and I were literally just screaming because there were like mates missed, pieces missed.
Everywhere. That's bullet though. That's why it's a lot of fun. How much time do we have on the timer?
A minute and 20 seconds.
Dang.
So, yeah, that's why I was saying that game is unfortunately she had to win that.
Yeah, and
Honestly,
Greg
she had her
knew
chances.
that. Yep.
She had her chances.
It's okay. At least if we finish with a win, a 0.5 difference is not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Greg looks like he's gonna win this match, but there's one more game and Alexandra
But at least
is
finish
playing really
strong.
well right now.
Finish with dignity.
She's playing really well right now.
Yes. I told you that the bullet, I knew it was gonna be a strong suit, but it's just so close. I think if there was no increment on the bullet, it would have been different because she would have had her dirty flags.
Yes, but I don't know who would have flagged first.
True, I don't know. I know she has a lot of tricks up her sleeves, but so does Greg.
So C3, kick the knight up, bishop G5 coming in. She's got a great position, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, this is a fantastic guy. I love it. Her king is safe. Her rooks are well placed. Her development is just great.
Yep, bishop G5.
So close. I love the position.
This is nice.
97 and forcing the trade so that she can bring her rook to the 7th rank.
Yep, this looks really good.
You do it right now. Oh, maybe. Yeah, 97.
This is okay. Take with the bishop maybe and try to win that pawn, or take with the rook.
If she could win, there's not enough time.
So I think the idea is like C4 here, then to play bishop D5 check and bishop H6 after king H8, and you have a very almost checkmate.
Wow.
But after C4, there is queen takes B2, so it's not so simple.
See it.
Not so simple. She wants to get her bishop to D5.
That would have been a fantastic. She could have sacked on G7, then pushed C4, and
yep. No, I totally
that
agree.
could have been very forcing.
Sack on G7, bishop H6, get the bishop to D5. That's what that position needed.
Yeah.
Bishop or rook back to E7. She's trading. Don't like that.
Okay.
King up, and now we do not want to trade. No trades.
Not much of a choice. What? Oh, and yeah, the king can easily defend.
Yeah, so Greg just has the upper hand here in the end game.
Yep.
Up a pawn. Often in the end game, that's enough to win.
Yes, especially when they both have the bishop pair, and they'll trade off and end up with the same colored bishop. No chance for draw.
And there was a moment there where Greg could have just repeated moves and taken a draw and won the match. But he's like, he's like, you know what? At the rating,
of course.
The rating matters.
Yeah, that's very true.
Hey, bishop C1 by Alexandra. Grandmaster move to finish off.
There we go.
Nice. I'm a fan. Bishop F1 maybe for the fans? Bishop F1 for the fans? No, okay.
She's just avoiding all the bishop trades. Makes sense.
Yep. Exactly what you should do.
Yep.
So now
eventually she's gonna run out the back and forth moves because he's coming to attack.
King B5. Probably king A4. Okay.
There we go. Now the king is kind of cut off from entering back. Can go around though.
Bishop C6. Take on A5. No, they could have taken the pawn.
Oh yeah, with check.
Yeah. Or taking the bishop and then taking the pawn.
Oh, that would have been a nice draw. But
well, draw or maybe he has 3 seconds. Alexandra could have maybe won that position.
Yeah. It still can happen. Double is she's down 2 pawns though. Whoa.
Bishop D6 is good.
Interesting.
But
defend, and
still tough. He's got 1 second, by the way.
Yeah,
Alexandra is very quick.
Yes, she really is. It's looking good. She might put it. She's keeping the pressure.
King C2,
nice.
Good move.
King C2 is a great move. Yeah, maybe
King B3.
Oh no! Why D1?
Okay, she can't take on G6. She's gonna take
Now she
A3.
can. Now she. Hey, okay, we're gonna get a draw maybe.
This is
Maybe.
probably a draw. Should be a draw, but she's nearly trying to mate herself. King E2.
Yeah. Oh
Check.
God.
There
There
you
was.
go.
Oh no. It's
Look at
mate.
that.
Wow. Hey, strong end. Let's go.
Absolutely
Yes.
deserved.
At
That
least
is
she
a
finished strong.
that is a
I'm proud.
beautiful checkmate to end off. Wow. Like
Very
you don't
close.
see
Just a
that.
half point. Just a half point. Everyone's
Holy
saying,
smokes.
"Oh, these odds, they're not fair." Clearly, it was tied. It was very close.
Oh my goodness. That was a beautiful checkmate to end
Yes,
off.
that was great. I loved the ending. Even though I would have loved to see the rook sack in c4, but this was a great match. I knew it'd be all up to the bullet, but Greg, very well done to Greg.
Yeah, that was beautiful. So the match does finish 19 and a half to 18 and a half for international master Greg Shahade. Probably as close as it could be. Greg was, careful not to go 16-0 handicap because he wouldn't have won that in that case. That was insanely close,
Oh,
Andrea.
oh, I didn't realize it was a 1 point difference. I thought
Yeah,
she had, oops, I thought she had more. Never
yeah,
mind. I wasn't paying
yeah. No,
attention.
but it's
I
just
can
one
do
game.
math. I just thought she had another win for some reason.
No, it's very close though. It's just one game, and after that exciting match, we're looking forward to getting into an interview with the players. But before we do that, just going to take a super short break to get that set up and to give everyone a chance to cool down after that, adrenaline-packed 1 minute section. So, Andrea, you and I will be right back after this short break with the interview. And welcome back, everybody. We are joined by the competitors in today's match, Alexandra Botez and Greg Shahade. And Andrea and I were honestly on the edge of our seats because the handicap that was given, I'll go to you first, Greg, honestly made it such a perfect match. It was so close in the end, just one game separating it. Is this handicap, do you have any idea what this 15 games was going to mean? Like, do you know it was be this close?
I really didn't know. I thought I would do well in the first two sections. And I did.
Which you did.
And I go into the last one, I think I was, up 1 point or even or something. And I was like, okay, 1 minute chess should be no problem. And then at the end, she just starts beating me. I'm like, what's happening? Then I'm getting checkmated. It won't let me move any pieces because the king of stuff. And then I looked and I was like, time is up. I was like, okay. Like, get me out of here.
Yeah, thank goodness that 1 point at the end. Alexandra, you were mounting a pretty serious comeback in the bullet portion. And I think Andrea and I were both agreeing that as the time got shorter, your chances of winning were going to get higher. Did you feel the same way coming into this match?
I told Greg that I was really nervous coming to this match. I felt like I was going to get kind of wiped off the board, but at least the bullet portion wasn't as bad. I mean, I hope I scared Greg a little bit. That's all I can hope for.
I'm terrified.
You
I
definitely
was
look
so happy.
very
I didn't look at how
terrified.
much time was left. And then you kept being, I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And then I looked and I was like, okay. I mean, I was scared.
Yeah. Andrea, do you have anything you'd like to say to your sister after she represented House Botez there?
Do you think Hammer would be proud after that match?
I think the one win in the 5-minute or 3-minute section that he prepared me in that one line, he must be very proud.
But what about all the other throws where we went astray from theory? The other 10 games, it's okay. We'll have a talk after this match. Don't you worry.
A talk.
Yeah, I promised Hammer I wouldn't let him down, and I did. Where you will have a chat.
Oh man, this is a serious interview all of a sudden. Alexandra's going to get chatted to after.
Oh, yes,
well, that was a beautiful game, though, the one that you're talking about. There was actually some serious prep remembered there by Alexandra, and that game was actually quite important for the match because it gave you a lot of confidence, I thought. And going into the bullet, I think people kind of underestimated maybe what you could do in the bullet section. It was quite impressive, Alexandra. But I'm going to ask you what's on the tip of everyone's tongue right now. Did you guys coordinate outfits during that, or what's going on? That was so coordinated. Alexandra, Greg, help me out here.
Oh, it was all improvisation. Like once she did the thing with the hat, I'm just like, I'm changing my outfit every.
I like that Greg would always match. Respect, Greg. You pulled out the mask.
Greg is super fashionable. He brought out the blazer, so I had to bring one out also. If I can't beat him in chess, at least match him in his fashion.
I don't know if the future opponents are going to be changing outfits as much as Alex was, but I hope so. So.
We got a lot of different looks from you guys. We got masks, we got the hat,
beanie, the workout attire. There was plenty. Alex, I think. Oh, go on, Greg.
I had to do a quick workout in between the 3-minute and 1-minute section. That's why.
Yeah, you were wearing your muscle tank top. We're like, was he working out before this? Alex only brought out the dumbbell once. Maybe that was the whole one game decisive because he was exercising a little bit more.
That's because you are streaming and I was kicked out of my own house and I'm playing in a little conference room and I got to go all the way up to go to the bathroom. I don't have time to exercise.
That's true.
I heard Andrea giving behind the scenes advice to Alexandra, during the breaks. And it was something to the effect of, Alexandra, just don't blunder tactics and you'll win.
Yeah.
No, I said very wise words. I said, don't go for tricks, play solid. But, it means the same thing.
Yeah. Just don't lose and you'll win.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Just don't blunder. Just don't play that.
Greg is better at tactics, but you can't just change your style.
Yeah. That's tough
Greg's
to do
tactics
on the fly.
were super sharp, Greg.
Thank you.
Do you do a lot of puzzles?
I've been doing some Puzzle Rush lately.
That's what we're lacking.
Yeah, my image of Greg is him doing CrossFit and then doing like 5
chess puzzle
and then a couple more reps.
Yeah, that's like pretty well, now that's everyone's image.
You've been watching my workout routine?
I am, Greg. I'm taking notes.
Well, you practically did one on cam for us here, so we couldn't help it. We couldn't help it. Now, Greg, the end result was, I got to say congratulations. You did come away
Thank you.
with a victory against Alexandra, so you will move on to the next round in this tournament. Now you've got some experience in this event before, so you played in the last I Am Not a GM tournament. And this time around, it's a little bit different. It's not all IMs, it's some popular faces, streamers. What do you think that does to the nature of the event? Because already we saw how much fun it was to have a handicap, and you are ever the entertainer.
First, I want to say one thing. If you look at the bracket, there's one name that's not there. There's one scared player that knew he was going to get whooped this year. And he was like, I'm not playing. I don't want any piece of Greg Shahade. You know who that is, right? Mr. John Bartholomew.
Yeah,
and
I
in
was
one
gonna say,
game,
is
I
it
played
a
the
winner?
Scandy in his honor, just to be like, you didn't play the Scandy like the whole match against me. I'm going to play it to show you, like, I'm not a chicken.
He's
That's
coming
all.
for
That's
you,
all I want to
John.
say.
Yeah,
like the
harsh words for
rivalry.
John. And
There's a lot of. I love that Danny Wrench Lawrence Trent match. That's going to be amazing. Ooh.
Yeah, that was one of my highlights as well. An underrated matchup. Danny against Lawrence is going to be some heat behind that one. Yeah, a lot of matches coming up. Andrea, do you have anything you want to? I know you're going to have your talk with Alex, so maybe you're saving your questions for off
I'll
air.
save my words for Alex, but Greg, well played. I love the hat.
Thank you.
Congratulations on winning the match, and good luck in the next matchup.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for everything. Great match, Alex. It was fun.
Yeah, Greg, I had a lot of fun. Thanks for this. I know you're obviously the much better player, but whenever I have a match like this, it makes me want to play more chess and study more. So I appreciate it.
You're a very strong player too. You play a lot of really good games, especially in the end of that bullet. And like early in the 5-minute, there was some tough, like the second game, the fourth game, they were like time scrambles. I was like, I'm gonna lose the second game, but I didn't somehow.
Yeah, you
It
pulled
was
it
like
off, Greg.
bad.
You pulled it off.
Yeah.
Somehow the result ended in Greg's favor, but I agree that the games that we saw and the way we were commentating, the time scrambles, I mean, we didn't know what was going to happen. So thanks to both of you. Greg, congratulations again. Alexandra, thank you so much. That was a truly entertaining match. And I think I speak for Andrea, the chat, and everyone watching that we really had a great time. So GG's, and we'll see you in the next round, Greg.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks,
guys.
Simone. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone for
everyone.
watching.
All right, bye guys, and that is going to be our coverage here for the I'm Not a GM tournament. Chess.com Puzzle Week. Don't forget that is starting tomorrow. In terms of Chess.com events and what to look forward to, that's coming right up. So if you didn't get enough chess today, don't worry, we got you covered for tomorrow. And Andrea, the Chess.com Arena Kings also gets underway the week after that. So, if you're basically looking to just get immersed in Chess.com events, I think it's fair to say we got the people covered.
Yes, there's definitely some very exciting events coming up, and I will be watching the puzzle one because both Alex and I need the practice.
Yeah, so puzzles coming up. That's starting tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun, as I mentioned. Lots of different formats that we're going to get into. Andrea, I mean, did it hurt a little bit watching your sister go down on live Twitch TV?
I knew that Greg had very good odds. So overall, I'm pretty proud because it was a very close matchup. So I'm proud with how it ended.
Yeah, and speaking of how it ended, she got a beautiful checkmate there on the board. So, hey, you can't complain. It was a match that Greg was the favorite in. Ever the entertainer, he put up a handicap, and it was a super close match. And congrats to him. But I think he'll be looking forward to his next match, and we'll be looking forward to commentating future matches. So, Andrea, it's been a pleasure today. Thanks for.
Yeah, it was great, Aman. Thank you so much for being a great partner, and I will be cheering Greg on in the future rounds. I'm a big Greg fan after this commentary for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We're done for the day. Thanks for watching the coverage of Greg Shahade versus Alexandra Botez in the I'm Not a GM tournament. And this tournament is going to be going on for months, actually. There's going to be lots of matches. Keep in touch. Always stay following the channel. There's going to be lots of coverage, and Puzzle Week starts next week. So without further ado, Andrea, thanks again, and bye, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you, Aman. Bye, everybody.